Well, hello everyone. It's Jeff from Atlanta Craps, and welcome back to the season premiere of Craps Chat. Season 2, episode 1 of Craps Chat. We've got a few people in the green room. Anybody that wants to join, all you have to do is go to the description below and hit the Zoom link down below, and you can join the show live. We've got a few people over there. Also in the green room, we've got my good friend, the co-host, Dylan from Skill and Luck. He's in the green room. John from Pro Craps is in the green room. So far, we've got Chris Dice-Dejan, Nemo, and Victor in the green room, and they'll be joining us here in just a minute. I just want to go over the rules, guys. Want to be polite and courteous to everybody here tonight on this, the season 2, episode 1 of Craps Chat. So if you have a question, I need you to put a Q with the question. Tonight, I'm struggling with the normal software I use where I can queue the questions up. I cannot get into CGTV's back inside because there's so many shows that are programmed. I think that's what the issue is. I can't see them all, so I'm going to have a little help with Chris from Dice-Dejan, and hopefully John will direct me to the questions as well as we get the show underway. So guys, without further ado, are you ready to get this show started? This is Season 2, Episode 1. Let's do it!
No audio, Jeff. No audio.
Helps if you push the button. Push the button. I said, Dylan, how are you doing tonight? The creator and the co-host of the show of this Season 2 opener, Episode 1. Dylan, how are you doing, my friend, tonight?
Doing great. I can't wait for all these new things going on that we're going to be doing. Welcome everyone to Casino Gaming TV, and welcome to Craps Chat. Looking forward to this great new episode 1.
Well, I think without further ado, let's go ahead and bring the green room in here and see what's going on with everybody that is there. Let's make sure everybody's audio is on. It's the only thing I have to do right here at the moment. Let's see, John's audio is on, and let's hit that. Oh, there they are. They are in there talking. Welcome to Chris Dice-Dejan. Nemo and Victor is with us tonight. Chris, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing very well, Jeff. Thanks for putting this on to you and Dylan. Looking forward to Season 2. Season 1 was a big success, and big things coming in Season 2, so happy to be here.
Hi, guys!
That's a good cameo.
Well, how about that? Wow, my goodness. We do have an active chat right at the moment, and I'm going to have Chris and hopefully John will monitor the chat because I don't have any way to queue the questions up today. So if you have something that you would like to say or begin talking about, I need you to put it in a queue. There are a lot of people in the chat. Matter of fact, let me just go ahead and see if my chat is working here so that I can make sure that it is working right, because I got to switch the side of it. There we go. I can get rid of that show down there. Join the show, guys. All right, so this is Season 2. It's a big football day too for Chris Dice-Dejan. Are you on the mark? Or are you how you doing with your well, I don't want to call it betting, but you know what you do on the side.
Yesterday was a very good day. Today it's been up and down a little bit. Some good bets though on this late game that are looking good right now, so hoping they stay that way.
All right, let's go over to Nemo. Nemo, you're pretty colorful tonight. I know you wear the fish with the bunny ears when you're playing over on Big AZ's channel, so welcome, and how are you doing, my friend?
How's it going, everybody? It's good old Nemo over here. I hope you're enjoying a good day. Good moments of craps like always. Yes, I'm currently the title holder from Big AZ's channel. Can't wait for this Friday coming up for the KOTM. It's going to be interesting. I know everybody's been talking about how I'm going to play, but we'll see. It's very suggestive right now.
All right. I just did realize that I don't have John on the screen, and I don't know why I don't have him on the screen. So we're going to put him on the screen, and we're going to move this around, and we're going to shift screens just a second, and let's merge John in here. John, I didn't even have you on the screen, my friend. Hey there, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing? I'm doing better than that guy that dropped 1.4 million on the Jags yesterday at halftime.
Oh,
did you guys see that bet?
That was brutal.
He dropped 1.4 million on a minus 12,000 bet or something like that, and the Jags beat him on the money line.
Yeah.
Wow.
1.4 million to win 11,000.
To win $11,000. I mean, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brutal.
I guess he doesn't watch sports.
I guess. I mean,
wow.
Damn. Yeah.
No,
otherwise,
I'm
tired.
To say he can't take me seriously. I love you, dude.
So we have this thing at my work. We call it Wacky Wednesdays, and we have our instructor staff meeting, and everybody has to use the filters. So the whole staff meeting is nothing but Snapchat filters, and we all look like a bunch of idiots. And we just laugh the whole time. We're just laughing like idiots the entire meeting, and get nothing done. So
yeah. Well,
it's great.
It's not the first time I've seen Nemo like this, but I have seen him in person. But welcome there, and we also have with us Victor. You're muted at the moment. I was kind of hoping you were going to just say hello to everybody. This is Victor.
No, I'm here. I'm trying to put my my avatar into the background, but I can't seem to do it. I don't really.
All right. Well, we're going to be here for a couple hours, so you'll have plenty of time to get that in there. Once again, guys, there's so many people here in chat. Duracell was the very first one here, well in advance, and I know, John, you put up there that you were second, but we've got a lot of people that's here. I'd like to say hello to everybody that is in the chat today. I'll get to it, guys. Bear with us tonight on the questions. I do see we have one question already from Sideshow, which I was kind of hoping he was going to join the show with us tonight, since he is going to be gone for a little while. But maybe he will, maybe he won't. It's hard to tell. If you'd like to get on the show, guys, it's very simple. Just in the description below, all you have to do is hit that link to the Zoom. Wait for me to let you in. Don't run away because I didn't let you in. And you got to put a name on there that I will recognize as somebody before I let you in, because Lord knows, a couple times last year we had a couple things sneak in there on us. But in any event, guys, let's get that off the screen.
Hey, Jeff,
there.
can you see the live chats? Are you seeing live chats now? I saw you putting some on the screen. Can you see them coming in or no?
Yeah, I can see them coming in, but I can't queue them up in my software that's built into my broadcast software.
Okay.
You have 9 shows set up for this week, and I don't know if that's the issue or not, but mine would have been the last one scheduled. So there's Victor.
I've got a running list over here. I'm just keeping a list of questions over here, so when you need one, let me know. I can give them to you.
Yeah, speaking of Sideshow, I actually dedicated a system for him too. That me and Chris one time went on his live, and it was pretty hilarious what happened in the midst of it. His mic kind of fell off, and he had it hanging and dangling. And then Chris said, "Hey Nemo, make a system called Hang and Dangle." And I said, you know what? That'd be pretty hilarious for me to do it. And I did do the system, and it's posted right now. And I don't know if he actually watched the system play out. It was pretty hilarious.
All right. Well, we're going to start with Sideshow, because I can see his question. And this comes from question. We're going to get right into the questions here, guys. If you have a question, put it in a queue. I got some help with Chris and John helping me tonight to keep these all in order so we can get to the questions. I'm doing 2 series while he's gone, guys. We'll get Chris on the show. He'll explain in a minute. Beginner with beginner with a few buds, 2. Bugs, I'm not sure what that said. I got to push that back up there. Will be a daily paycheck bankroll builder, and the question I have for the panel and the chat is, what should be the third one? The third one, I know you did all those recordings, Chris, while you were there. I don't know what to tell you about that, but the third one, we're hoping, maybe it's the fourth one, that we get to see some desert table, and we get to see some craps from the desert, and hopefully that will take place. Yep.
I want to see shoot the moon, baby. Give me something aggressive. Yep.
I'm starting a series called the 2K1 Hit, so I hope you guys enjoy that one.
Yeah. I think you said 2K one hit, as in 2000 one hit. That's those gigantic strategies where people start with big bankrolls and try to do those things. I mean, they're interesting and they're very entertaining at times. But what I get mostly I get asked to do is stuff reasonable buy-ins, reasonable amounts. And I know there's probably, last I counted, there was 18 different craps channels that were doing bankroll builders. They started at such $1 and working their way up. And some of them come on our show, some of them don't come on the show. But, you know, we all are here for the same reason, our craps community. And we want to continue to build the craps community, and we want to share ideas and talk about things. And I know Victor's on the show today, and I know he must have something he'd like to talk about. He and I were talking in the Discord today. By the way, if you're not on CGTV Discord, head over to casinogaming.tv. You can join the Discord from right there. It doesn't cost a thing. Get in there. John's got a lot of information that's in there for all the shows that are running, for general chat groups that you can talk about, and it's really good information that you can find in there as well. So look, let's see, question from Ian. How can we send stuff to Sideshow while he is gone? Well, that's a good question, Ian, because hopefully Chris will join us here in a few minutes. He's still packing. He's been sending Chris and John and me pictures of him packing all day, of his stuff that he's taken out. And probably the saddest picture I saw today was his studio with his cover over top of his table, where he's not, he's shut everything down for, you know, the time that he is going to be gone. So let's go to this question here. Biff. We're going to get right into it. Biff says, better to play at a busy table or slow table, advantages and disadvantages. I particularly like a slow table when I'm away from, when I travel, and I go early in the morning, and when it's, if I'm on a cruise, I go when they first open. I like to be on the table myself. At my local, I like it to be a little busier because I'm going to spend a little bit more time because it's so close to go this way, and I do not specifically bet on every player. But, you know, so there you go, Biff. I like it either way. Let's start with Dylan. Dylan, you like a busy or a slow table?
Well, I would prefer a slow table myself, because that way the dice will come back to me quicker. But other than that, you know, I don't mind either one. But if I had a preference, I'd prefer a more empty table where the dice get back to me.
Yep. All right. Let's go, Chris, Dice Degen.
I don't really have a preference. Play on both. Around me, usually the tables are pretty busy, so I play on busy tables more than I play on a slow table. But if I want to shoot more, I'll play on a slower table. But otherwise, I don't really have a preference.
All right. Nemo, you got any comments on this?
Me, depends. It varies. It's just timing and mood. That's all it is.
All right. Chris, while you were gone, there was a couple things. Don't know if you heard. Chris from Sideshow's just joined us. Lighting's a little bad on his side, but I understand he's still busy. He's still busy packing. There was a question was asked, how can we send you things, Chris, while you're gone? Will you still have access to the sideshowgamble@gmail.com email address? And I guess the question is, will you have some decent internet so we can see some desert craps table? Your mic is muted, Chris.
So, hello everybody.
Hey.
Yeah, you will definitely see some desert craps table coming here real soon, and that's the kind of the question I have for everybody on the panel and everybody in the chat is, you know, I know I'm going to do 2 different series while I'm going on top of videos that are recorded. Is what do you guys want to see? I heard someone say dark side. And you guys know I'm not a dark side guy.
That was me.
Hey, Victor.
That was Victor.
So I'm all game because I'm gonna have hopefully some time on my hands to either work or dice. Work or dice.
Okay.
As far as sending stuff or sending anything to me, yes, I'll still have access to the Sideshow Gamble email. I'll still have access to the Sideshow Gamble. And it'll just be a Desert Dice series. And what I'll do is once I get there and I get an address set up, if you guys want to send anything for the guys, everybody that's going to be with me over there, I will push that out to either Jeff and John, and they can put it out in a craps chat or a coffee and craps in the morning. So.
All right. While we got you on, your mic is hot there, Chris. The question was, do you like a busy table or a slow table? That was the question while you were joining.
If I'm playing just to have a good time and hang out, I want a busy table. I want some excitement. I want some free drinks. I'll do a simple system. If I'm there to make money, I want the dice as much as I can. I want a nice slow table.
All right. So before I go to John, Victor, do you have any thoughts on a busy or a slow table?
Well, I tend to like to go in the AM in the morning because I like to shoot. I like to practice. I'm going to be that weird guy with the pad, jotting down, what's going on. The numbers are coming up and so on, and chatting with the dealers. You got to get to know them. That's part of my routine. And also, yeah, sure, the dice come back to you quickly. Plus, I'm an early riser by nature, so that's why I tend to prefer playing.
All right, John, you have a local there. So is there any difference between you slow busy table whether you're playing locally or you travel?
I'm the same as Chris. I mean, if I'm going to hang out and have fun, let it be as busy as it wants to be. It's more exciting. It's loud. It's free drinks. It's just and I play lighter. I just have a good time. I don't care. If I'm there for the paycheck, then give me a nice slow table and give me the dice. That's what I want. And I want to control my time at the table when I'm trying to make money. But if I'm just there to goof around, it's less about anything other than goof. I want people to goof around with, I guess, right?
No, that's why I said locally here. Yeah. I know the locals and I like it that way. But when I travel, or especially when I'm on a cruise, I like it when there's nobody at the table because it's really nice to get in there and get out. Nighttime on cruise ships pick up, but they morning time when they open up the table, I typically am down there. So we have a question here from Dustin1, and I'll remind anybody can join the show. You see we've got Chris, who's a YouTuber. Both Chris's are YouTubers. We got Victor and Nemo. Nemo's just started his channel, but we'd like to have anybody can join the show, guys. You can come on. You don't have to stay the entire time. You can jump off anytime you want. And as you can see, you don't have to show your face or one of those silly characters like Nemo has, but you have to admit, you find yourself staring at that all the time. It's like I'm watching Big AZ's channel when Nemo's on there, and I just look at that. I'm just like focused on that up there at times. But here's the question from Dustin1. Yeah, how to limit bankroll exposure? That's probably a question that could probably have a few more words in it. I'm going to let somebody else take a stack at this. Anybody want to take?
Come on, 5 counts. Place bets.
Oh no 5 count ever.
And anyways, before we get to that, let me shoot fire on Chiro's butt before he started making that comment. Dude, I'm from the Air Force. Watch what you have to say, bud.
Okay.
Well, I have a lot of funny Air Force jokes for you. At some point.
Yeah. Lay it off, guys. Lay it off. I've been there, done that. Please.
Yeah. Well, this isn't joke hour, but it is. We do pick in sarcasm a lot on everybody quite a bit here on the show. But we had a serious question. Victor's going back to, I guess, probably the old GTC.
Can I get back on this?
Yeah, you can. Just hang on one second, Victor. I'll let you back in there, and then we'll actually probably going to have some comments about what you have to say. But Victor's from the GTC, and John said never a 5 count. I don't use a 5 count. But Victor, tell us what your thoughts are on the bankroll exposure. And welcome to the show. First time on the show. Welcome.
Okay. First of all, always try to bet tight. In other words, lose less, because craps is a negative expectation game. That's that. So I always say place the 6 and 8. All right, those are great bets. And I know some of you guys don't like it, but I say line bet odds are good bets. Don't go crazy. Don't do prop bets and all that other stuff. If you want to limit your bankroll volatility, and it's bankroll volatility. All right, it's not the money you have. And when I say place bets, well, you guys think I'm joking, but if you use place bets, typically, depending where you are, they're off on the come out. And I keep admonishing some of you, should have a line bet up somewhere because you're missing action on 29.75% of the rolls. That's a real number. So place betting is a good way to, guess what? Limit bankroll volatility, especially if you are off on the come out. That's all I have to say on the matter.
Okay. All right. John, you disagreed with him. What is your thoughts on that?
Well, the question was not about volatility, it was about exposure. Right. So I think we should tear the question apart and say, how do you limit your exposure? Well, the easy answer, there's 2 answers to that, right? One is don't put a quarter of your bankroll out there at one time. right? So be mindful of the exposure from your rack, right? And what's out there, if it's fully exposed all the time, I think the answer can be some kind of hybrid or some kind of regression. Now, whether you're going to go 6 and 8, to me, if you're going to bet the 6 and 8, Victor, and you got them at 120 each, you're pretty well exposed versus having it out there at 12 each or something like that. So the way you play those bets, I think, can limit your exposure, whether you're going to regress down or spread out, start small and spread out and keep it tight. I think you're right to say keep it tight, but I think the question is more geared at exposure, not volatility, if that makes sense. And Dustin, one can clarify in chat if that's what you meant by the question, because we can talk about high volatility, low volatility, or how Sedge plays, but I think it was more about the money that's out there, and that was what I was responding to.
Okay. All right. Dylan, what is your thought process on the exposure question? And John raised a good question. Which side of the scale are we talking about there?
Right. Well, yeah. Another aspect that needs to be addressed is that you don't have to do 120 on the 6 and 8. You can do 24. If you're in a $10 table, 24, and then regress down to 12. You don't have to go 120 down to 12 or 60 or whatever. You can do whatever you want. But I'm just saying you don't have to shoot for the moon. It depends on there's a variety of different things. Bankroll, your size, your session size, all that stuff. So but for the low roller, the low people that don't have a lot, like a 300, 500 bankroll or whatever. You can still, there's different ways to approach it, and there's different ways of thinking. You don't have to overexpose yourself for, to put all your, or the majority of your bankroll at risk. You can do things that are wiser and still regress, at a better convenience level that's more palatable, so to say. That's my 2 cents.
All right. So, from my standpoint on bankroll exposure, I play differently. Locally here is one buy-in. When I travel is a different buy-in. I'm going to play every day at a local here that I know the people. So my exposure is because I already know the players. When I travel, I don't know the players themselves, and so I don't know if anybody else wants any comments on this before we move on with the questions. Guys, if you have a question, please put it with a Q or the word question in it so it'll highlight on my software, but I can't Q it tonight. I notice I'm scrolling back, I see a couple statements, and I don't know whether they're questions for the panel or not. Please feel free to join us. It's in the Zoom link down below. All you have to do is go to the description down below and hit it, just like Alfredo just did. He's joining us. Alfredo, you're muted, and welcome to the show, my friend. I'm sure you probably have some type of comment about. The question is about how do you limit exposure. Alfredo, you unmute yourself. You got any thoughts about that?
Oh, eliminating exposure.
Not eliminating, limiting it.
You could play a hybrid way. You could definitely make sure that you don't overbet. I mean, I think the comment in there by Nemo about a 2K one hit, you'd probably lose your ass if you were here this weekend trying to do that. There were so many PSOs, I don't know how to describe it, but it is what it is. I think yesterday at one point went from 2.5K down to only 15K down, back up to 2K down, up to 3K down, now back to 2.5K down. So, I mean, you're gonna be exposed no matter what. You have to have the bankroll to be able to sustain if you're going to be betting on everybody. The biggest way to limit exposure is to not overbet on random people. So pick maybe 2 numbers, maybe have a come bet for your second bet besides maybe your first bet. If you're going to bet a primary number and a come bet, that'll limit your exposure. And then you can, if the roll continues to go, put more bets out there.
All right, appreciate that. Very common sense. I like the way Alfredo worded that random roller stuff. Anybody else have anything else before we move on to? It's not a question,
I would like
but we're going to touch
step
on it.
in on this one, and I have a different thought process because not everybody has the right answer, and not every answer is agreeable in my personal opinion. If you say a PSO, that means for me, there's an opportunity to be on and take that one hit and down, because then I don't have to worry about the 7 coming out afterwards. So you have to think about that too. So all questions aside, everything is subjectable. Not every answer is always going to be the right one, and it's up to you how you want to feel about the table, how you feel about the other players. But if you're betting for yourself, that's a different story. So it all depends on how much exposure you want to be able to put it up, put yourself out there as a, measure of what you want to do to be able to get that one decent hit. Or if you feel the table's all jacked up and everything else is a complete jacked up mess, play how you think you should be able to play to lessen the exposure on the table. But there's no right answer to this.
Oh, I didn't say there's the right answer, but you should be aware that you're also exposed to 16 to 20% come out 7s that end up happening, and you get your ass handed to you that way too if you worked on the come out roll. So just be aware. There's no silver bullet to anything in craps, and you need to be prepared for it. It takes a shooter
but
to
you
get
can
you
see
out
that
of
come
it
out
in most cases, unless you're going to go straight don't.
Right.
Go ahead,
So,
John.
Alfred, that come out phase is a bitch. I mean, unless you're on the pass line, it's the one place where the 7 can get you 6, 7, 8 times, and as Alfredo has proven to us all, right? So that's the thing, right? You expose yourself to the come out roll, and you're insane. Like that's gonna bite you more often, that multiple repeat 7, than anything else. I know Victor doesn't advocate playing that way. He just plays the line on the come out, not his place bets. And that way, I think that might have got missed in chat by a couple of people, Vic. That's an important piece. You want action on the come out from the line, not from your place bets.
No, true. That I can agree, because the thing is, like I said, there was all it took is one certain video that I saw from CQ from the 30-roll challenge, and I think it was Troy from Texas. If anybody knows that or saw that, he laid the back wall, played the pass line, and any 7 with the horn. That's it. That's all. That's his start out, and that to me is a genius come out roll, because if nobody's paid attention to that on the come out, guess what? They're losing everything else along down the line. But that's just my thoughts on it. But
there's a difference.
Like so,
but you got to make sure that we call this out. And I don't know what kind of money you're going to the casino with, but most people don't have the kind of paper to play that way with actual money. So when you're playing in Crapsy, you're playing on Big AZ's channel, you're playing on a 30-roll challenge or farting around with fake money all day long. Last night I was out there at 640 across. I pressed shit up to like $3,200. Didn't even care about it, right? With actual money, that ain't the way it happens, right? And nobody's putting that kind of paper out there and hopping the reds on a progression 6 times in a row with the back wall being laid. You just don't do that. I mean, you catch fire sometimes, but I think that's where the discussion has to be held with actual money out of your wallet at a real table, and not not the virtual stuff, because the virtual stuff changes. I fall victim to this too, right? When we play virtually, I do dumb shit all the time and get myself whacked because I'm trying things out, and who cares? When I'm at the actual table, if I lose $24, I'm pissed. Like, even if I had brought $2,000, that $24 hurts, and I get mad every single time. So I think this exposure question has to be held in that context. If that makes sense.
Well, I think the exposure question needs to be looked at in a different perspective than not exposure, but having a plan. We all talk strategies. We all do different strategies. Every channel has got a different niche, whether dark side, light side, hybrid, a mixture where you go from dark to light, light to dark. However it is, we all have that. And I think what's great about the family, if permit me there, the Don, if I may say Don, is knowing that we come to the table with a plan. And when we talk exposure, it's, am I going to expose my plan for 5 rolls, 6 rolls, 5 count, a 2 roll? There's holes in everything we do. Every strategy out there has had a hole here, there, and honestly, if you want to find them, you just send the strategy to John. He'll find every hole that there is. But
yes, I will.
True, that's true.
But I think that's the piece that we need to be telling everybody out there in the family is, what is your plan? Like, I got it. A hot roll comes, everybody should be out there on the light side. Just take full advantage of it. If the sevens are coming, go into an Andre, go into whatever you want to do, play the dark side. But if you're in this mediocre range of anywhere from 6 to 15 rollers, then you need to have a plan to go, okay, I've got my money back in my bankroll that I came with. Now have I set conditions for the long roll? Now there's strategies out there to get you 2 rolls and you're out, 1 hit and out. But understanding I want 1 hit and out, my exposure is a whole lot more, depending on the level I want to play at. If I want to, I want to go at a little level and maybe do a $12 6 and 8, I might be sitting there and the guy's only hitting field and outside for probably maybe 5 or 6 rolls before I get a 6 or 8. So everyone's got really good perspectives on it. The question is, what is your plan and how long do you want to expose it?
What's your goal too, Chris, right? What's your goal?
I think you put a great point to that, Sideshow, because, one of the things I've been at the tables with Uncle Mel quite a bit over the last couple of days, and, 76 works. But the problem is when you get everything pressed up and you don't eventually get anything hit a third time, and you don't take it down, it all is left on the table. You go from 76 inside, having everything pressed up, $300 on the table, and all of a sudden $300 is gone. You may have paid off the roll because you took 1 hit, but everything else that you worked hard to press it up, it gets taken down. One of the things I talked to Mel about, I said, hey, I'm now getting to that point to where if everything's pressed up, I'm actually just pulling off the table. Why? Because I've already paid myself the 76 and I have $150 profit.
And I think that's important.
The key. That's the key pivot that I had in the last 2 sessions. I'm plus 500 on each of the sessions because I did that, and I walked away to take a break each time because I want to grind back. I don't want to expose, even though I take a lot more bankroll than being down 2,000. I don't want to keep on losing if that's what the table's giving me.
And you bring up a good point because I think everyone's starting to see that. I know John just did and I'll let John speak on this one, but I know when he did the tier pressure, he's made adjustments to it already because it's a hard thing to get that 6th hit or that 5th and 6th hit when you press up. So I'm all for get your profit on the table as quickly as possible.
Again, it's about goals, right? It's what is your goal to hit a home run, right? If your goal is to hit a home run, you do your 1 hit, come down across and play it, and then who cares? If your goal is to paycheck it, when you think about it, you do here's a good example, like the CEG squeeze play, right? Your 2 hits, you're spread out, you're down at 160 across for free. Well, guess what? You won $160, right? You pull that shit down and you pulled profit, most likely 10% profit in your rack or 15% profit with that 160 off of the 2 hits, right? If that's your goal. If your goal is to go crazy with it, then like Alfredo's saying, take the 160, get it up to where you can pull another 160 down, but then still play. It's all about the goal. And I think that I say this a lot. You got to be okay with breaking even and shooting for the ceiling, and you got to be okay with winning $150 and walking out. But that's a here thing. You got to have that up in here before you even start. And that was you said earlier, Chris. Your plan and goal is a big deal.
Right. All right, guys, I think that we took this question of limit exposure to come out rolls to volatility at the table, and Alfredo made excellent points on both times he came out and talked. Chris from Sideshow was his comments were good. We just had 2 more people join. I'm going to say hello to one of them. I know the other person I'm not sure if I do. But before we move on, because we have a different question that we've never been asked before on Craps Chat, and I want to get to it. And if we have to come back to discuss the come out roll and volatility and exposure and bankrolls, we can. But Joe, unmute yourself. Craps Master Journey Joe's just joined us. Welcome to the show tonight, Joe. Do you have any comments? Have you been listening to the show?
I listened to part of it here, guys. Congratulations on the 2nd season here, start.
Thank you.
I'm just listening in right now. I might have comments coming up soon.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Joe. And Patrick Lopez, you don't have to show your face, but if you unmute yourself, you can say hello to everybody. And I'm not sure that I know you unless you have a specific YouTube screen username.
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me? I'm good.
Yep, we can hear you. Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. Not So Freeman is actually my screen name, so you
That's
might see my name
cool.
out and around. But
your
I'm
question's coming
fairly
up
new
next.
to the game. Hey, what's up, Chris?
Yep.
How you doing?
Hey,
All right.
Pleasure to meet you, boss.
Good.
Yeah,
Welcome, Patrick.
Hey,
this is
nice to see everybody. So my question that I had for John is because on Pro Craps or one of the coffee morning shows, you said that you have a goal to when you retire, you want to play and deal craps like as
That's
your
right.
side time job or what have you. My question is, how do you set those goals to become a dealer? Like, is there a school? Is there?
Yeah, CEG. CEG. And I can actually deal home here. So my home casino, I've talked to them. They will train me up to deal. The thing is, I don't have enough money. I can't afford to do it right now. Like dealing it's minimum wage plus tips, and it's not enough to live on. My goal is, and we're tracking pretty hard toward it right now, where we're going to be able to in a couple of years have our full retirement stashed, so that when Kathy and I move to Vegas or wherever we're going to, probably Vegas, we can live the rest of our days on what we've earned, and I'll have money stashed to play with, and I'm just going to deal a few days a week, and just kind of ride out the sunset with you all at the tables. That's the plan. And there's money put away for that purpose, and it's just it won't be a risky play at all. And it's really all about fun. Like I'm looking forward to just enjoying my afternoons, really.
all right. Okay, Victor. Yeah. Not Patrick. I'll call you Patrick. I did put your question up here that you had that goes back to real early in the show. I know Chris, Dice, Dejan, and John are keeping track of some other questions. My queuing software is not working tonight. You said this question we've never had asked before due to medical reasons. We have had a discussion about having seats at the table, stools at the table, and so forth. But if you have the shakes because of a nervous or a medical reason, how do you roll without the shakes, or do you just pass the dice? I actually play with two people locally here on probably several times a month, and they roll random, and you can obviously tell that they have a medical condition and or maybe just one of them's kind of old. They just shake and play. I don't know that they pass the dice, but I think that's probably something that, as a player, watching that person do that, it may make us act differently. So anybody here in the chat want to take a stab or have experience with this, and then we'll move on to the other questions that Chris has got queued up for me. Don't make me call on somebody. Anybody? Nobody?
Oh, Jeff, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Oh, go, Dice DJ.
So I personally don't have shake problems with my hands, but there is a person at my local who does shake a lot when they're just standing around the table, and even grabbing chips is tough for them. And I've seen them play quite a few times, and what they do before they actually shoot, because they do shoot and they are pretty good from the times I've been there, they have a routine where they're like flexing their hand in the air and like controlling and making like fists like this, and then it seems to limit the shakes at that time, and then they go throw the dice, and then once they have their bets out and everything, they do the same exact thing every time again. So I don't know if that may help, but again, like I said, I personally don't have shake issues, but I've seen people have them, and some people just chuck the dice. But this person, I was caught up. I found it interesting because they actually had a routine that they did with it, and it kind of goes into what Joe from Crapsmaster Journey's been doing with his exercises, with his belt series that he's been doing. So I can defer to him to talk more about that, but he's been showing some exercises, and they're similar to what this person does. So I don't know, Joe, if you want to go on that. Or...
I don't know much about that, but I will be the first to say I have Tourette's, and that does affect me with motor skills at times. And on Chris's note there, I do go through certain things before I throw the dice or I go and do whatever in life. And a lot of that's the OCD type thing, which is a common side effect of Tourette's. So I question, if the gentleman that you're talking about have Tourette's or Parkinson's or something like that. Parkinson's, I don't think you can really control it by doing certain motions, but Tourette's you can do that with. And it seems like the more nervous or more tired I get, the more amped up. And I have a lot of it in my fingers and my anywhere where skin touches skin type thing. So I will do certain things that Chris is saying to prep myself for what have you. So, so as far as the exercises go, not really sure. There might be just an energy expelling type situation or type thing, and then they go off of that. But being habitual and what you do and how you throw the dice and everything in life really does matter.
Okay. Anybody else want to take a stab at this before we move on? Because I got some questions that are queued up here.
Just a quick thing, Jeff.
I'll briefly just say that I've been at the tables with a lot of different people that have various disabilities. There's a blind guy that actually shoots, and his wife navigates him to the dice and picks up his chips for him, and he actually throws quite well. And then there's others that do have motor skill sort of issues. You often find them not maybe doing with the par toss. They might do an ice tongue toss or some different toss. But the big things for people, if you're referring to someone that might actually get nervous in a case, is usually breathing techniques, taking big breaths and making sure that you're releasing the dice as you exhale instead of inhale, or calm yourself down.
All right. Somebody else had a comment?
Yeah. It's simple. I was just going to say, crap should be fun. So if having tremors or some sort of a condition that would make you not able to throw the dice the way you want to, or maybe you have some kind of you're looking internally at like how are people perceiving me, then pass the dice. Or if you want to say fuck it and just do it. Like you should not make that part of your decision making process. Just have fun. That's what I'm saying. What is? Oh, because I made the bet.
The Vegas line, the bookie is right yet again.
Yeah.
Under an hour. Slam the under. It's in chat. Go back and look. John at 41 minutes. Cash it.
Chris, that was a great bet.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh God, I'm so sorry. Oh man. Anyway, don't let that bother you. Have fun. Have fun at the table. That's funny.
All
Yeah,
right.
I thought I could have held out that for 3 hours.
Just have fun.
Have fun.
All
Yeah,
right, let's move on to another question, and we'll welcome. I believe that was Jason, by the way. Jason, I'm not sure if that's your first name or not, but we'll get to you in just a second. This comes from my good friend Joe Ramus, big supporter of most Craps YouTube channels out there. He says, at the casino you play at, if there are 2 tables going and you step up to one and it goes cold and 90% of the players there move to the other table, do you move with them or do you just stay there? Unfortunately, Joe, I'm going to take a stab at this first. Both my locals only have 2 tables. Typically, they only have one going at any given time, and sometimes it's only half a table, so I don't have that choice. Anybody in the panel want to talk about, do you, when everybody leaves the cold table and moves over to another table, do you follow along or do you stay?
They're bringing the coldness with them.
That's what I was thinking.
I'll tell you, this morning we went two rounds around. No one could shoot for shit, and I lost 1K and I walked away. It was what it was. I made back 1,200 of the overall trip loss. Right after that, making sure that I did the daily paycheck type runs instead of trying to continue to press because it wasn't working otherwise, and we went to a different casino.
Mark.
Yeah, I got an idea. I always walk whenever I get uncomfortable. Either another player I don't like, or I feel that the dice are going the wrong way, the table is cold, or so, anything that bothers me. Or I get hungry, or I even have the slightest wish to go to the toilet. Okay, you don't want to be uncomfortable at the table. But some of you are not in a position where you can just go from table to table, or walk down the boardwalk to a bunch of some other casinos. So in that case, you got to have another game. My other game, roulette. I don't know about you guys, but I don't like cards. Although I used to like blackjack. And walking is something you have to do more often than not. And I think too many people, they just stay. They put their feet down at that table, right? They're on the rail. They got the little chip stack in front of them. They stay there till it's all gone. Don't be that guy.
Yeah, I would have to 100% agree with victor on that one.
All right. I'm going down the line of questions as I see them today, guys, and I'm queuing them in any specific order. I would like to welcome Jason, by the way, who appeared on Friday Night Fights here on CGTV several weeks ago, or a couple times there. Jason, welcome. Do you want to say hello, or are you just here to listen? Don't have your audio. Your mic is on, Jason, but I don't have your audio coming through. So I'm going to go over while you try to fix your audio there, Jason. I'm going to go, Nicole, I don't know who you are, but I let you in the room. Do you have anything that you would like to...
God, really? Again?
Yeah. I was afraid of that. That's the reason why. That's the reason why
just
I switched.
having fun at the craps table.
Yeah.
How does Zoom not have that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Good.
Yeah, John,
I've written this
we'll go back.
I've written to Zoom so many times because I teach.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3.
They gotta have you. They gotta have a preview screen for that. It's bullshit.
43.
God, where's the bleach?
I was actually afraid of that. I was prepared for it. That's the reason why I switched the screen and didn't let them on. But I got them off. I was ready to get them off. Unfortunately, guys, you might have got about a second and a half of it. But John, I'll go back in the morning. We'll edit that out.
Just having fun at the craps table.
Jeff, you got him.
Yeah.
There you go, right?
Yeah. So I guess we're going to have to start registering who we can allow. That's
Mark
the fourth time, guys.
Mark the time.
Fourth time.
Come back and edit.
Yep. Yeah. Oh no, I can go back and edit that show.
I don't think it even showed up
out.
on YouTube.
Yeah. It did. But I was only a second and a half. I was prepared for that.
Quick second, yeah.
It did for a quick second, Chris.
But John knows what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it in the morning. I'll go right to the minute mark and I'll edit that little second and a half out, and people that enjoy the show won't see that in the future. Anyway, guys, let's get on to.
You could avoid that too, Jeff. Is pin only show the pinned person and never pin anyone that has something obscene up.
Yeah, but this person was prepared because they waited for me to say something to them, and so I'm pinning and unpinning. That's the reason why I was prepared. But anyway, guys, let's not concentrate on them. Let's move on. Here's a question from Ian. I think I got a question from Ian. Here we go. Anyone know differences in comps with bubble craps versus table if they're playing same amount? I can tell you that in Atlantic City, you do not get any comps for playing bubble craps. None. Zero. Zip. That came from the pit balls, and it also came from a host. You get none for playing bubble craps. I don't know about the rest of the place. Anybody know?
Nope.
Can you hear me now?
Nope.
Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you, Jason.
I heard somebody, yeah.
So I'm in Council Bluffs, Iowa. I get a point every $10. And that's what I'm actually doing right now, is just playing on the free money that I get off that on bubble craps. And I'm doing pretty well. But so we get, I'm not exactly sure how that compares to the table comps, but and the bet has to resolve. I can't have 160 across and get 16 points. When the bet resolves, I get a point for every $10 I got on resolving.
Interesting. But they treat it like it's a slot machine, but the comp rate is less than slots by a lot, I think, right?
By a lot, yes.
Yeah, but
there
that
again,
just
like I
seems
said, you have $160 up, but you only $12 or $25 is resolving. So whatever bet resolves, that's what you get comped on.
And that sounds very similar to the Orleans is actually now on their stadium, but there's no actual tub on their stadium. It's just a virtual machine up at the top that gets video recorded. They are giving tier credit now for folks on that, as well as it seems like balance towards slot points as well.
All right. Anybody else know from around the area where you're getting it? So I'm glad to hear that in Jason's corner they get comp for that. Going back to
I play bubble craps up in Green Bay quite a bit, and the comps are like none. I could play for an hour and get like $1 worth of comps, so it's minimal. You could play them forever, and it's definitely a lot less than what the slots are comping out at. So.
All right. Yep. As what John said there, Rock, go ahead and just join the Zoom link. We'll let you in, but I got to recognize the name. So if you're using a different name, I've already not let 4 people in the show because of what just took place.
Don't do it.
Fool me once, okay, but fool me twice. Oh my gosh! First show of episode 1 of season 2. Let's see here. I can go by that one. Here's a question from Old Bay Craps, Craig. Why do you think more folks aren't joining Craps Chat Green Room? To me, it's a no-brainer. I'll look it all up for you all. Well, I tell you what, they can come in anytime they want, but I've got to recognize the name, and a lot of people don't use their screen name nor their real name on Zoom link. So typically I know the people that are joining. Craig, that's a good point, but we do want you to join the show. Unfortunately, we have that silliness that just took place. That's just, just silly. All right, from the 85 Bears, Mike says, what are your drinks while you're at the table? I prefer water, soft drink, or juice. Mornings, coffee and Baileys. I don't drink while I gamble. Anybody else?
Michelob Ultra.
Okay.
Anybody? Diet, no ice, no straw, and if I am drinking, which I do sometimes, it is exactly what he said: Bailey's coffee and cream.
All right. Anybody else? I know.
I've got turned up to Tom Collins, but they're so weak that it doesn't really. It's just a lemonade.
Yeah, lemonade.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah, it used to be a drink of choice when I was younger, Jason. It just tore my stomach up with heartburn. All right, guys, a question from Craftsmaster Journey. When throwing the dice, do you exhale, inhale, or hold your breath? I exhale, and I'm not breathing, and I release the dice. Anybody else?
I do the same, Jeff. I breathe out, hold my breath, and then release.
All right.
I breathe in and hold it.
I hold.
I hold
it. Breathe out like you're shooting a gun. You're trained to do.
No, breathe normally, guys. Come on.
The reason I bring this up, the reason I bring that question up, guys, is because that is a question that was posed to me as far as breathing when shooting the dice, and I think there's different theories on what you should do. Shooting the gun, you breathe out, exhale. It's supposed to prevent the jerking and all that stuff. But when you're shooting dice, you're trying to minimize the energy. And from a martial arts perspective, one of the ways to increase my energy output is by breathing out. So that's a great question. Do you breathe out? Do you breathe out whole? Or do you breathe in? I'm not a breathe in person, but I'm kind of on the side of breathing out and holding, rather than expelling all that energy as you throw the dice out.
For me, to explain that for everybody else, those who are musicians, like Old Big Craps and myself, which Tim and I had talked quite some extensively, we hold to the point where we know we can control our diaphragms. Correct. That's the thing that we have an advantage as those who played an instrument. That's the advantage that him and I have, and it's not. And the thing is that when it comes to the energy, I understand. I used to also do Taekwondo, and I know when it comes to the martial arts, you have to have some of the energy to be expelled, but there's a level of balance between the two. But there's an issue of people breathing out at the wrong time and having energy issues when it comes to shooting the dice. And then for me, it's a little bit different because when I control my breathing, I can hold it, control it, and then be able to, when I shoot, worry about the breathing much later because I'm able to control my diaphragm. Everybody else can't do that, and that's the other issue. What happens to everybody else?
All right. Anybody else on their breathing techniques when they shoot the dice? All right.
I hold my breath. I hold my.
Take a big breath after a 7 comes out. Always going to help.
Guys, I mean,
I think that's
my problem is that I pace a lot. I'm a nervous person. Like when I'm at the table, you guys have played with me. I'm walking around. I'm like, when somebody has the dice, I'm two blocks away while they're shooting. I don't like watching, but like when I'm shooting, I hold my breath. I feel like Joe said, I've lifted weights my whole life, so it's always like hold your breath and you exhale as you make the motion, and that's how I feel with dice. Like I hold my breath till I make the motion and I save the oxygen and the energy. So that's how I've always done it.
Here's the theory though, John, because when you're throwing the dice the way that I'm teaching, you try to expel or dismiss the energy as much as possible from the dice. You don't have a lot of random rolling at the end as it comes off the wall. And the breathing out technique that we do in weightlifting and martial arts and shooting the guns, all that type of stuff, is going to expel that energy out, through your body as you're throwing the dice. And that's one of the things I'm trying to teach people not to do, not to keep that energy stored, you know.
That's what I'm saying. So I hold my breath.
Breathe out.
I hold my breath
you know,
until I've thrown. Right?
technique.
So I hold my breath, Joe, and then I throw. And I said I hold my breath, then I throw, then I breathe out.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I've always done it. Maybe that's why I suck. I don't know, but it feels like I was kind of taught that way, you know. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, because if you're breathing out every time, it's consistent, right? If you're breathing in every time, it's consistent too. But the problem with breathing in is you could breathe in a lot harder, thus causing a much difference in energy. Whereas when you exhale, you tend to exhale the same every single time. That's where the consistency built in.
All right, Dylan, what do you do when you shoot?
It's more like what Alfredo's saying. I breathe out, hold it, and then let go. So it's more like a gun, because they're loaded. They're loaded. You know, they're loaded dice, right? You got to respect it.
Dylan made it funny. All right. All right, let's go to Dice Dr. Dan's question. Let me get that put up here. It's a long one, too. If you set a win goal of 20% and you play 110 inside and you hit for 35, would you consider that 30% win hitting your goal and then stop? I think I know your group's answer, but he wanted to ask. If I have a win-goal ratio and I've made that 20% on that very first roll, I have been known to leave 20%, you know, $1,000 buy-in.
I think he's asking it on a per shooter, Jeff. I think he's asking us as a per shooter. So if you have a 20% goal and you're 110 inside or 1/3 or whatever it is, and you make your $35, that's 20% for that shooter, done for the shooter, wait for the next shooter. Or I think Dan is asking that on that level.
No, I didn't interpret it that way, but I think that's what you are. That would make sense. 20%, 110, 35. That does make sense.
That's a way harder answer.
Yeah. The only issue I have, I don't have an issue with it. I just is that I see people do that. Like they like I have a lady that plays and she goes 550 across, one hit and two shots, and it's not two shots. She takes it down. Well, when you got a busy table and they're paying out, she's taking it down every single time. It slows the game up. So if you're going 110 inside, say turn my bets off, I don't have a problem with that on a shoot or leaving your bets up. I know some casinos will take the bets down after so many rolls. But what's the panel feel? You know, interpret it either way, the way I interpret it, or John. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so back in the day, the Mad Professor gave me a play, and it was a pretty good 110 inside. And basically, I would do one hit and down. I'd walk into these casinos in Atlantic City, and I'd be able to do 14 craps pits in one day. 110 inside, one hit and down. And that's all I did for a number of months until I got tired of it. It is possible. You can make a lot of money doing it, too. You know, it really is a good way to play, but it's a hard way to play. Try getting to 14 different craps pits in one day. You'll see what I mean.
All right. No, I understand that. I'm going to say something to Albright. Rock, if you would, unmute yourself and say hello to us, and then we'll let you on the screen because we don't want to have what's just happened a minute ago happen again, because somebody could have copied the screen name, which is what I'm afraid has actually happened here. So, Albright, if you want to say something. Anybody else in the panel, while these three beautiful faces are up here without the panel in there, while we wait to see if Albrigh's going to join us, you got to unmute yourself, Albright, otherwise I'm going to have to move you out. I'm pretty sure that it's you, but I want to make sure that it is. So say something, Albright.
Mm-hmm. Hi, guys. Sorry about that.
There we go. Okay. It's a real person.
And your question.
Validated. He's validated. Real person.
And you have a question. What is what is your question or your comment for the panel?
Well, I mean, I really wanted just to join in the conversation and just help answer, get out my perspective on different questions that's out there, and also just tell a little bit about myself and my background, how I got into craps and stuff. So
sure, go ahead, do that for us. Now go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. First time on the show, we'll let you in.
All right, so actually I started out kind of in a weird, interesting way. I'll try to keep it brief, but first I did a lot of little jobs, and about a few years ago, where one of them was a limousine driver. I used to pick up a lot of customers in Canada. They were high rollers. They would tell me all their stories and stuff like that, so they got me interested in gambling. So I started out in blackjack, learned learn about blackjack, and then a couple of years later, I end up, after somehow breaking my arm, unfortunately, I got into craps one day while I was healing up. So I started craps with one arm, and people was congratulating me because I was just copying everybody else, just stacking the dice and throwing them, and having double-digit rolls and stuff. And then I started learning more about craps and more, and that's how I kind of got started in craps. But I ended up starting, as I was learning, I started off as a dark side player, but then switched to light side, and just kept on learning for the last couple of years to try to, hone my craft. So that's how I got into craps.
All right. Well, good. Welcome to the show. I'm glad you're here. Just wanted to make sure it was you before we let you in. If you witnessed what we saw a little while ago, we don't want another one of those. And
no, unfortunately, that's made its way into Discord, Jeff. So check your Discord. Mine is loaded with this. Yeah, I'm in there right now trying to get rid of a bunch of shit right now. So if I don't pay attention for a minute, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I got a couple moderators in my Discord. If you, Chris, if you can take care of that, I have a couple moderators in the Discord. You can feel free to take away what you want to take away.
Jeff, you're fine. I can't get them out of CGTV though. I'm trying right now, but I can't get them out.
I'm working right now.
All right.
It's going to take me a minute to do this.
But I don't know.
Yeah, let's go back to Dan's question here about the 20% win. Does anybody else have a thought process that? And I interpret it different than John did, but he's right. It's 20% of your win goal on that shooter. That would be it. What would you guys do? Let's answer Dan's question. Anybody?
So when I'm playing, I have a friend that plays with me, and he goes that way, 20%, and then the shooter's dead to him is what he says. He just lets his turns his bets off and goes with it. I'm more of a variance player. I'll have my 2 hits and then regress down, get my money out of the hand, and then just keep ABC, always be collecting little mini presses. I'm in there for the long roll. I'll go 25 to 35 to 50 on the 5 and 9 and just keep building it up, always collecting something. And you'll see our bankrolls vary. I mean, I'll go up and down, and he'll be very consistent. So, that I think that's one of the things that we keep hitting on is what feels comfortable to you. What do you like? Right. I like to get that big. I'm looking for that big home run. He's looking for a consistent little bit every roll.
Okay. Anybody else want to take a stab at that? I like what Alfredo said a little while ago. He had his bets pressed up. Won whatever he wanted to win on the shooter, and he just pulled. I don't know if he came down to a level where he pulled him off. I can't remember what you said, Alfredo, but you pulled it down. I like that. That's basically what I do, and then I tend to repeat myself up and down, and eventually, the longer the roll gets, you're hoping that you can take that power press like Ed talks about and getting up to the 420 level on the 6 and 8. But then you definitely want to take that out of there. So that's a good question. Yeah, Jeff, I think it is.
Jeff, to that one, so I was doing that, right, and pulling things down right at the 80%, maybe 75% level on each shooter. And then one shooter just kept hitting 6s. So I put a 6 out there for 36, pressed it up to 90, hopped it. The next one, it hit, put it up to 150 and hopped it. He hit it again. I went to 350. He hit it again, and I was able to recover over $1,500 in one shooter, and then take it all down. And lo and behold, several hits later, he ended up not hitting it. But he, in that span, hit somewhere around 8 6s in a span of about 11 rolls, something like that. Insane. But you have to know how to take advantage of that, even if you've already regressed.
Right. No, I understand that exactly. I like what you said a little while ago. All right, guys, if you have a question for us, put a Q or a word question. It'll highlight it on my screen, but I can't Q them like normally. But we're going to get to them. I got John and Chris checking the questions. I am going to put this question up here, not because of me, John, but hopefully you're going to be able to answer this. He's got a question for Skill and Luck. Are you ready to accept the hard hat? Because I'm voting for you as one of the hardest working craps gurus in all the community. And I know he also put the question up there earlier about Big AZ. Guys, I'm going to let John talk about it. I'm not highlighting myself because I don't want to say anything about it. But you did see the hat last night if you watched the live show at midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific. Yep. But John put this thing together. John, the floor is yours. And tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's honestly, it was a weird idea I had, like a midnight, couldn't sleep idea. So I I was thinking about how hard you and AZ are working, like off camera, right? Because I think what happened was I did a thing with AZ, and he filmed me doing a challenge with him. It must have been his 30th one that day, and he had like another 50 to go. Like he was like filming all day for content that nobody knows about, and I'm like, guys are busting your ass, should be recognized. Ooh, I'm right there. Yeah. So I thought, like, let's do an award, like a hard hat kind of thing like this. And I just bought a hard hat and put like 10 names out there, just, that I just thought of, right? And you ended up winning the first one. We put it to a vote. And there was no organization behind this at all. I literally put 10 names out there and we voted, and Jeff won. I think it's a good idea, right? I think I'm going to give the hard hat to you. I'm going to mail it to you. You'll put it on your table while you're filming. And then for February, the winner at the end of this month will be declared by voting all throughout the month of January. And the January winner gets the hard hat for the month of February. And that person would put it on their table the whole month and film a bunch of videos with the hard hat out there, sign the hard hat, and then you mail it to the next person. Kind of like, it should go around the whole community kind of a thing. And I think we'll auction it off at the next Craps-a-thon. That's the idea. So starting this week, we'll, of course, call you out, Jeff. Yeah, go ahead.
Suggestion would be making that poll easier to find. I know that it was in your Coffee and Crafts Discord, but it was very difficult to find after a couple days.
Yeah, I'm going to make a special room just for this, and I'll put it in there. I said I literally thought of it on a Sunday night, and Monday morning just rolled it out there. Like, didn't plan it at all. But I think it could be kind of a cool thing. So I'll put a new list of people out, and what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to highlight people that are on the list a little bit better, so that guys like Skill get a shout out, and like, here's why I think Skill deserves it. Here's why I think AZ deserves it. Here's why I think Joe deserves it. And I'm going to put, my kind of voice behind that, but let y'all have, and maybe have you guys on a little bit too, and like get a chance to meet everybody. And every month we'll just switch it up. And once you've won it, you're done. So Jeff, you're the first and last. That's the last time you'll see the hard hat.
Yep. Nope. I understand that.
And I think if it gets passed around, that's kind of a cool thing. And I don't know, just whatever. I think Skill, you obviously deserve it. You put in as much hours behind the scenes. If people knew what you did on the phone with us, how much work you put in, they would be shocked. I don't think everybody understands how much work goes into some of this stuff. And like, you're not running your channel like at full throttle, but you're driving the content across the nation. So I think it's pretty cool. So Vince is 100% right. Yeah.
I think it's a team effort. I was flattered. I said I didn't vote for myself in either one of the polls that you had. I voted for Big AZ because I think Big AZ is an entertainer. He's a craps guru. He's experienced, much more experienced than I am. As far as bringing content, John, I told you this, and I said it in your Coffee and Craps that you left your name off of that, and so I think that you got to include yours as well because you're working hard as well. So maybe every once in a while when this gets passed around to whoever it goes to next, we'll be able to include you in on that, and I appreciate. I was humbled for that. I didn't really know anything about it. I didn't know I'd won until John texted me.
I made it up on a whim, and I'll never put myself on the list. I mean, I get enough credit for the Craps-a-thon, other crap. I don't need the extra, but I will sign the hat when it comes back to me at the end of it. I'll autograph it too, so that when it goes to Craps for the Cure and we auction off, it'll have the full set of us. But I think it's definitely, we got to move it around. I think it's kind of a neat thing to move it around. So hopefully it takes off.
And Duracell wants to know, we're going to install a chip on the hat. I don't know about installing it on the hat. I think the signatures would be there. Why don't we put the chips like inside the hat, or
we could glue the CGTV chip to the front of it, like make it like the logo on the front. Is that what he's saying? Right. That's a good idea. I can see gluing that on there. That's a good call.
So I've got a question there, Jeff, before I got to go, because I got to go deal with some work stuff.
All right, go ahead, Chris.
So this question, we always take questions for us on the panel. However, how many people we got watching tonight?
60.
60
really?
Degenerates.
Wow. Holy moly. Is that the most so far, Jeff?
No, we had 72 once before, John. So we had 60. It's down to 50. Mine's showing 54 currently at the moment.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
Maybe all those guys trying to get in, those 6 trying to get in, they went away. Who knows? But go ahead, Chris. Continue with your thought process.
Here's my question. It's to the panel and it's to everybody. And it's kind of 2 questions. Question 1 is for yourself and John and Dice Degen. Team Degen, is I want to know your all's viewpoints on last night's team match, and then from the chat and everybody else, I want to know, what do you guys want to see in 23 with team play? Because I had a great time last night, and I know it's very similar to live fantasy, but what do we do and how do we make it better for all of you? That's my question, if that's a question.
Mind if I throw my 2 cents on this? Nemo's good old fun way of asking or answering.
And real quick, Nemo, I got to say goodbye to you guys, though, but I will be watching. I just got to go make some deals, some work stuff. So,
yeah. I don't talk to you.
Be good, Nemo.
Safe travels. Thank you for everything, buddy.
Hey, not a problem.
Thank you for your service.
I love all of you to death. I will be jumping in the chats whenever I can, and I will see you all real soon. So it's just a few days, guys. Just a few days.
Good night, Chris. Good night. Yep.
I'm out for now.
Good seeing you,
All right,
man.
Chris. All right, Nemo, go ahead.
Based on that, here's the thing. I must have missed some of the rules. Do y'all share the bankroll?
Well, we did. If you watched last night, we did a couple different things. We actually played it by the seat of our pants. It was a suggestion by Chris from Sideshow to play with John, me, and Chris Dice one time before he gets deployed, and he's going to be gone up to 9 months. And so we just did it, and then John came up with the idea, let's take a $4,000 bankroll, $2,000 each player. Let's go teams. Unfortunately, Chris and I, Chris Sideshow and I lost to John and Chris Dice Dejan. The Dejan's, I guess his comment about who was on top and bottom, you have to see the video to go see that. But then we all took $10,000, we all took $2,500 each, and we played to see if we could beat the casino. And like John said a little while ago, he went 640 outside and pressed to the moon, and it wasn't constructive team play. What we got out of it last night, and what we've talked about that in, John's laughing at me. What we talked about last night was, hey, that was really worthwhile. Let's put this out to the community. I'm kind of hoping John will talk about it on Coffee and Craps at some point, maybe in one of his little openers there, and ask them what they want from those viewers. And instead of just YouTubers playing team play, we'd like to see you come and play team play.
I want to see a bunch of teams. I mean, I liked what we did. It was fun. It was just stupid fun. But like I said to Nemo earlier today, right? You want to avoid that becoming a let's play as dumb as we can play and make as much money as we can make and simulate what you would actually do. Like if me and DJen actually went to the casino with 2K each and we're pooling our money and we put some thought behind it, what would we do? Like that was what I was hoping to see, but it turns into let's just have a bang up time. But maybe at some point it would be non-virtual. It'd be more of a simulation of actual play. I don't know. That's
like
desirable or not by the people. Yeah. Like, do people want to see that, or do they want to see us just go out there and run with it like we did last night? Just go try and make $1 million. What's more fun or more consumable for people, I guess.
Yeah, I would like to see it serious, maybe with a prize at the end, whether it's I don't want to say a cash prize, that'd be wrong, but some type of recognition for the team, maybe another trophy instead of a hat or something that they could defend at another time. And I don't know if this is a proper forum or not, but since I'm the host, I'm going to say it. Craps Nation's come out with their that DI roll contest that's coming up, and I think that's going to be fun. If you're not in Craps Nation, contact one of us. We can tell you a little bit about it. But John, we've talked team play for a year now. Ever since CGTV came up, we talked team play quite a bit, and I don't know that we ever took it to any direction. And then poof, last night, all of a sudden, it was fun, and we all had fun. Although Sideshow and I lost it. It is what it is. Sorry, sorry, Chris, I let you down.
Make a throwing suggestion on this? Maybe make the losing team pay every dollar that they lost for every per 100.
That's an idea. You'd have to get a commitment out of that. I mean, I do a lot of my donations that way, Nemo. When I play, if I start raising money for John's calls, not John's, for the Crapsathon calls, I just take a certain percentage, somewhere between 25 cents on the dollar to 50 cents on the dollar, and pledge myself, and it kind of keeps me in focus when I'm doing what I'm doing to help raise money. But we'd have to have a commitment.
Just a thought.
Sort of like they do with several of these online poker tournaments that are going on nowadays. So, anybody else on team play? Nobody on team play.
Chris and I were talking before the show about couples night, and that would be a good thing for male and female, couples.
Yep.
Yep. No. I mean, I'd like to see more women in it. I know that Chris Dice DJ and somebody was talking before the show about that. I don't know specifically who it was, but one I overheard you while you all were in the green room. That was there earlier. Hello, Joey. How are you? Anybody else got any thoughts on team play before we move on? And would you like to put your comments in the the comments below? Let us know. Go to the discords and have some give us some insight, because it's all about you. It's not about us. We'd love to bring you the content. We just want to make it about you.
Team play. Yeah. I got an idea. Dylan's got a unicorn. It's for $15. Believe me, it's worth every 100 hours he spends up here in the paint.
Pushing the unicorn. Here we go.
Y'all want $15 worth of unicorn? You better jump in, because it's worth it. I only see him 10 hours a day. You guys got him the other 150.
Going on there.
Oh my gosh.
Dylan, that's a blast.
Great. I think we all, even with Crapsy, try to get people involved, and Chuck has some ideas of being able to make people virtually able to be able to do that. Even with cameras enabled, whether it be on Zoom or whether it be elsewhere, most people are just not willing to put themselves out there with that. And I think maybe when the medium like Crapsy has the tournament play where it's team play or something like that's enabled to be able to do that, might make it a little bit easier. But
we're working on it.
We all urge folks to jump in and play live with us. But look at Big AZ. You tend to see the same people. There's a few different people that jump in there, but you tend to see the same people because a lot of people like watching it, and a lot of people just don't want to the fan favor that comes with it, or whatever it may be.
No, I agree with you, and I didn't want to talk too much about Crapsy tonight because we emphasized it so much on a previous previous shows during the year, the thing that I would say, Alfredo, you're running your tournament thing that you're doing with Crapsy on your channel, and I have the Duracell 8, the perpetual table, and I've got 50 different people that have played at least one time through that, and we're doing it month by month, and we just don't take any chips off the table. We just let it continue to roll on, and hopefully I'll have the leaderboard math filled out, corrected by tomorrow afternoon show. But Crapsy, I think the team play can come in. But last night, John, you have to admit that was a blast, and
it was so much fun. My wife says to me, "How drunk were you out there?" Because I was, you were so excited. Like I had like 2 drinks, but we had so much damn fun. That was great. I had a blast.
No, it was it was really fun. It was. So let's go down to another question here. I'm sorry. Was this your first time playing last night, Victor? That's right, it was. Yeah, I remember you saying that. Let's go on to this.
We actually rolled. You know what? We rolled pretty good. I think the guys in Crapsy made more than we did.
Oh, they did. They did because I got slammed. I got slammed on the dunk big time with big odds. All right, man. Old school Craps. My first question for you: are you a Craps YouTube channel? Is that just your name? Has anyone run into a negative crowd around the table when playing on the dark side? And if so, how to handle it? We've talked about this a couple times, and yes, we have run into both the light-sided players that get mad at the dark side player for putting a bet out and thinking the superstitious stuff, and we've also come into the crowd where the dark side player and the light side players, they argue because of which side of the fence you're on. So I've seen it. I've run into a negative crowd. I've actually been the negative Nancy at the table. I hope that's not stereotype and I get busted for that. But when I play the dark or the hybrid only at a busy table, I'm typically in the rear hook on either side out of everybody's way, so I can slip my bets right down there. And if the person's throwing the dice and they're coming close to my don't, I'll move it to whichever direction they want to go. All right. Anybody else on this?
It's a tired thing.
Negative energy at a table. I've never seen any table go positive with negative energy, people arguing or anything like that. Pick up your cheap chips and get the hell out of there. That happened this morning. One of my friends got in an argument with someone. They didn't want to move their chips, and then they tried to steal his chair out from under him and almost got into fisticuffs, and it literally led to the entire table being
that's awful.
on edge.
That's terrible.
And no one could shoot for hell, and just walk away. It's not worth it. Don't put any energy into it. Just walk away. You know, if the pit boss isn't going to take care of it and have security take care of it, then get away from that type of situation.
All right. Anybody else?
I think I'm going to start playing a $30 don't and tip the. I'm going to start playing a $30 don't, and the negative assholes, I'm going to tip them the $5 and keep the quarter for myself. Whenever they throw a 7, I'm going to throw them a nickel. That's my new thing.
John, how about the guy at Ellis Island when we were there?
Right? That big tall dude at the end?
The big tall dude, yeah. So I'll quickly highlight the story for everyone who wasn't there. So after the Craps for the Cure, we went to Ellis Island. It was Ian, Jen, John, and myself. And I was straight out stick right. And it started after this, but it was actually kind of funny. There was a local guy from the Philly area who was there, and he saw me talking to John, and he goes, "Oh my God, is that John Kokis?" And I looked at him, and I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Oh, I'm such a fan." So we met him, and that was all great because he liked your dark side play. And then I moved over because somebody left, and I don't know, maybe 30 minutes later, so John's stick left 1, Jen's stick left 2, I'm stick left 3. And there's a guy who tries to buy in on the very tiny little chip rail in between John and the stick. And then John was boxing him out, basically, get the hell out of here, what are you doing? And then this guy ended up coming in straight out. There was a guy next to me, and then it was him. And they had a group of people there, and they were trying to teach him how to play. And this guy just kept making comment after comment after comment because John was on the dark side, Jen was on the dark side, and I was on the dark side.
And we kept making money. But
that's
what's funny is
keep
bitching. I'm gonna keep raking all day long. No, that guy tried to wedge himself in because I was doing my pacing. I think Jen had the dice, and I was pacing around because I had so much money out there. And he tried to sneak into where I left. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here. That's no, you can't. Yeah, that was funny. That was a fun.
I should have said.
How long were we there? How long were we there? We were there for 4 or 5 hours that day. That was fun. Sorry.
Yeah, we were there for a long time.
I'm channeling my inner Ken. It's my inner Ken coming out. I'm sorry.
That's your second F-bomb.
Yeah,
I think worse than arguments of dark-sided players is 2 people walking up right next to the shooter talking about 7s and trying to teach them the game right behind them as they're shooting. Oh yeah, and if he gets a 7 right now, the entire table loses or something like that. Happens all the time. People need to go to YouTube and learn how to play the game, not teach it right next to someone that's shooting. It's just poor etiquette.
Buying in when the puck is on.
I would like to tell them when they're teaching someone about that, what the etiquette is about that number when you're shooting. It's like if you're trying to teach them the game, let them know that you don't say 7, when the dice are out and the shooter has them.
Yep. No, I've actually said that before, and I got that look. I just don't pay attention to people that play like that. It's sort of I don't know. I guess we've all seen it. We've all experienced it. I'm the one that puts the DP out there, even if I'm playing. I'm sitting stick left 1, and I'm setting the dice on myself, and all of a sudden I don't know somebody, or the last roll they had, I saw them just pick the dice up, blow in their hand, and chunk them down there. I'll put a $30 don't out there, and I get that look. But then all of a sudden I've got my hybrid going, and I've made $90 on the hand, and I place the point, or the 7 comes out, and I get paid, and then you get that look like you got paid and we didn't. And I've actually had people say, "How did you get paid on that?" Because they didn't understand the game. So a good point about about learning the game. So let's go back to the team play real quick, because we got a couple comments in here, John. For I guess it's geared towards you and me. Maybe for team play, one team member makes the bet and the other calls the dice set, and follow that up by Dusted One. More of a league play than team play, and I think the league play could probably come in once we get to Crapsy up to speed with the tournament style. I think we could.
It's
really
going to get there. we talked about doing team play like 4 against 4, and then a 2 against 2. Then need like a tag team kind of a thing, or like a thrower better. I think there's all sorts of things you can do. And Dustin One also put out there, by the way, a suggestion about doing like a point system. So like when you're out there, money's one thing, but the team that wins the hand gets extra points. Like there's we can do a lot with this and make it really different.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, fun. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
good idea.
Yeah, I like the idea.
Yeah. All right, guys, let's go on to another question here, and I'm going to go back up to John and Chris to make sure that I haven't missed any. Let's see, did we get this one? Again, it comes from the 85 Bears Mike. Who likes to lean in to see the dice after they are thrown to the other side of the table, or just stand and wait to hear them announced? That's an interesting standpoint because everybody does it. I actually, because I'm standing stick left one, I'm a big guy, 6'4", 300 pounds, and most stick people, I tower over them. I just wait for them to call the number. But I have a tendency, if they're at my end of the table, I'm looking at the table. What's everybody else's thoughts? Nobody looks in?
I tend to look in because I have a hard time hearing in loud noises, or large crowds and that. So I like to visually see the dice so I can register and plan my next bet accordingly.
All right. Nope, I agree with that. Anybody else on that leaning in?
I never look. I'm 2 feet away from the table most of the time. Ian will tell you.
I don't even care. If it comes out, it comes out. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna go head out. I got a big AZ match to go to, so y'all have fun.
Hey, good luck, Nemo.
All right, we'll see you.
Thanks, Nemo.
Yeah.
I lean in to see it every time, and part of the problem is that the stick person oftentimes doesn't do their job in calling out the actual combination. And I want to know from a hop perspective before they whack the damn dice, so I can see what combinations were there as I'm charting,
right?
And I'm keeping in mind what I want to hop.
That's a good point, Alfredo. Excellent point. Yeah, excellent. All right.
I'd like to comment.
Sure, go ahead, Victor.
Sometimes I think it's cultural whether you think the dealer is being a jerk or not. For example, some dealers, they're trying to be personable. They're trying to be entertaining. That's the thing. It's a service industry. I hope you're talking to them if they're doing a good job. But sometimes they may say things or do things that annoy you for whatever reason. But that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with the dealer. Perhaps it's your perception of the dealer and what they should be doing at the table. And I think that's one way of looking. Look at it through that lens. Maybe it's your lens that's needs some polishing.
Nope. I believe that's true. I mean, I like to hear the call, and because I'm so tall and big, I listen for the call, but not necessarily the dice set. I think Alfredo makes a really good point. We'll put this up here just because he's here. I don't know if he still is or not, but there's Ken. We haven't seen from Ken, but Ken's been doing a series on his channel here recently about so you want to be a gambler, and he's just not concentrating on craps. Ken, I was glad to help you the other day because I think you told me that John was still sleeping. That's a joke between us three there, John. All right, so here's a question from Clay. Do you guys leave when the table becomes of negative energy from the dealers, not from the players, from the dealers? And Clay and I deal with this all the time at one of our locals in the three locals that we play here locally where we are. Any comments?
Absolutely.
I have.
I had one dealer come up and she would just shout the numbers in my ear. I stick left or stick right one, and she would turn to me and shout at the top of her lungs the stick calls, and it's like, yep, no, bring me down. I'm out of here. Because it goes back to having fun and with energy at the table.
100% leave, to make sure you talk to the floor boss and make them aware of whatever was happening. At times I've had dealers argue with other dealers across the table as someone's shooting. Those sort of situations shouldn't be happening there, and they ended up moving one of the dealers to a different table because it got confrontational. But walk away if you can.
No, well, we can. Go ahead, Rock. Go ahead. I'll give it, and then I'm going to comment on that as well. Go ahead, Rock.
Well, as far as the dealers being negative, I kind of take it one or two ways. I either pretty much pretend it's not even there, or I take it as a challenge. It depends what's going on, because sometimes amongst the chatter amongst the dealers, some of them are talking about, dice throwing that doesn't depend. They try to throw you off your game, like talking about whether dice setting is real and stuff like that, or the stick man might make, like I had an instance where they were telling me to hit the back wall, and I was playing from the don'ts early on, and I was like, I know I'm hitting the back wall. I can see my dice hitting the back wall, but I'm ignoring it and just keep on playing. But sometimes they may repeat it just to throw you off, or just to get the dice out of your hands. But for the most part, I never leave, because I don't really care about the negative energy. Because half the time I don't even consider it negative energy. Same with people playing from the don't. Either I play along with them, but most of the time it just motivates me to play better, because usually I throw a lot of come out sevens anyway, because I set for sevens. So I usually get don't players to back off when they're trying to put their dice chips in the way and stuff like that. So to me, it doesn't matter.
All right. Well, the reason why Clay brought up that question is it's a pet peeve of his, and he's now made it a pet peeve of mine, because we actually have a local 2 tables, only open once. There's 2 of them that are like that. One of them has an excellent staff, excellent pit, excellent floor, excellent dealers, and can move the game along. The other one has a tendency to talk about what happened last night at their dinner table, and who they're going out with, and when they're partying, and it's very distracting. And I've heard Clay say many times, if you don't want to work, go home. I mean, he has actually said that. For those of you that have not met him, trust me, he's pretty straightforward and blunt like that. And when he said it, it wasn't in a sarcastic way; it was a meaningful way. And but the dealer distractions at the table, here's where my pet peeve comes in. The payouts. They're not paying attention to the stick call, or they're not paying it out because they're still carrying on that question when they're paying the front line, and they're coming out with their 2-hand movement and so forth. So I get that side of it, and I don't know. Like Alfredo said, say something. We've said something. There's been people that have called management. That's written letters. But we don't. Where we're from, we don't have the luxury that you guys have, that have 6 or 7 tables open, or 6 or 7 casinos open at one time. Anybody else?
So when you've said something, Jeff, they didn't act on it, whether it be the floor casino boss, or whether it be
I'm going to say
manager, whatever it may be.
I'm going to say they did, because we know these people by first name, Alfredo. Like you probably know some of yours by first name now, and they just don't talk to us, so we know that they got talked to. But the one experience recently, the box person argued with how much money somebody put out there on a book bet, and then the dice got pushed out, and they said book bet, and then it didn't add up to be this dice, and the 2 people argued back and forth, and the box lady had no business arguing with the dealer, because the pit person and another supervisor standing behind there never injected. And I think that's probably where his question is coming from. What do you do about negative dealers?
Pit bosses arguing with dealers is actually a crazy thing that I see quite often, or even being rude to their own dealers. Yeah.
Well, we had this thing that took place in December in our trip to Atlantic City with Mid-Atlantic Craps. We had a shooter, and he set the dice, and he rolled them 4 or 5 inches ahead of, 9 inches ahead of himself. It wound up being a 4-5-9, and all of a sudden, not the box, but the pit guy goes, give me the dice back, give me the dice back, give me the dice back, pay the bets, pay the bets. And so he said it 4 or 5 times before all of us around the table realized that he let that 5-4-9 that only rolled out about 12 inches, 9 to 12 inches, get called. And then when it was over with and all the bets were paid, he looked at each one of us and said, guys, had that been a 5-2, 6-1, or 4-3, I would have called that a 7. There's your warning. Don't let that happen anymore. So several of us were at the table when that took place. But that kind of stick man and that kind of box supervisor, I liked his what's the word I'm looking for? I liked the way that he injected his authority, but it made sense. This person I'm talking about arguing with the box lady and the dealer over a $6 bet. Most casinos would just say, just put the $6 out there and go on with it. So, anybody?
How about sweeping the dice too fast?
All right. Well, Leon, welcome to the show, Leon. That's great, Craps. And what's the question again?
How about sweeping the dice too fast? So I was playing at Ellis Island, and they were sweeping you were talking about leaning into the table to see the dice and everything. They were calling them and sweeping them so fast, I don't think I could have seen the result if I was sitting right on top of them.
That's what Alfredo just said, and I actually said, what was the call? They'll say it was a 6 easy. I said, what was the dice call? I want to know what the 6 easy was. So, yeah. You got a point there, Leon. You do. All right.
Yeah, and I did. I pulled my chips and walked and went to the other table. They were doing the same thing at that table, and I was done with Ellis Island for that night.
Well, I found Ellis Island to be pleasurable and a good work experience, not because I was with the Blue Ridge crew out there having a good time, but, we played most of the time next to the bar. They did open the hour table at a lower limit. So I don't know that specifically did happen, but I've seen it happen other places, and I get what you're saying. I really do.
Yeah, I like Ellis. It's just that particular night. I don't know. And it was on both tables. Both stick persons were just flinging them right back as soon as they called it. Nobody could, And there were a couple of times that I was like, I'm not sure that's the roll that I just saw. So.
Yeah, and I don't know either. I think it makes a difference, especially if you are hopping. Real quick, since Dylan can't read the chat, I'm gonna put this one up here. Derek Blackburn, that is, wants to know, why doesn't Mrs. Skill have her own channel? She's pretty feisty. So Dylan, can you ask Joy? All right, there's our joke. And I'm gonna put this one up here. Dustin wanted to know about the craziest no-roll dice stories. Yeah. We probably have a few of them. So real quick, if somebody has one, go ahead and throw a crazy no roll. Not a dice off the floor, not a dice landing in a girl's cleavage or anything like that, but some type of crazy dice no roll. Anybody?
Wait, what's wrong with the girl's cleavage story?
Because it happened.
I mean,
that's a great story.
I mean, we all have one, right? I mean, no. The only thing I've ever done
is who picked it out.
Right? No, I got backed off. I got backed off a casino in Mesquite a few whiles back. Yeah. That's it. Game over. Drop the mic. No, because I kept. This is back before I was throwing the chopper, and I was par tossing, and that table was so freaking bouncy. It was that super bouncy whatever the foam shit, and my dice were checking up. Every time I threw them, nice perfect backspin, they hit the deck and bounce backwards. And the box lady is like, you got to hit the back wall. I'm like, well, it's not my fault, it's your table. And like 3 times I did it in a row. It's like, one more time and you're out of here. And I'm like, I'll tell you what, here's $25. If I can do it a 4th time, you and me, like that. And I checked it up a 4th time. She took my quarter and kicked me out of the casino. And that was it. That was I literally, I was trying. I was throwing like an inch from the back wall. They hit the deck and check up. Like I can't help it, and I'm not going to just chuck them, So anyway, yeah. So I lost $25 and got tossed, and I was staying there at the casino. I was at the Virgin, whatever that place is called, the Virgin Island or whatever it's called. And so I can't go back there again. I can't move to that town now.
Yeah, so I'll give you one, and it was at a casino here in Vegas, and they're notorious for really sweating the money and just putting people in their system or whatever, right? I've had some long rolls over there, and I guess I was in their system. I was in the middle of a 38 roller at the time, and the dice didn't hit. Both dice didn't hit the back wall. Only one missed, and it barely missed. And they not only didn't warn me, they took the dice from me and said, that's it, you're done. And I took all my bets down. I said, hey, if you're taking the dice from me, I'm getting my pass line back. And they gave it to me back, and I left, and it was South Point. And so one of the worst casinos ever to go play if you're known for having good rolls. You miss the wall once, they'll take it from you. Did it to me twice, both times on very long rolls. So it was counted as a no roll, and they moved on.
I had one with the negative energy we were talking about earlier, and everything sort of rolled into it. So I was at Planet Hollywood playing the stadium craps, and that's only like a 8-foot table. and plexiglass behind it, so it's pretty much impossible to throw them off the table. But the guy that was throwing kept hitting or not hitting the back wall, and the pit came over and told him, "Listen, you need to hit the back wall." He rolled again, and he didn't. He rolled again, and he didn't. And so they had words, and the pit said, and I may have told the story before, but the pit said, "Listen, my kid could hit the back wall. It's only 8 feet away." And the guy got pissed. He was like, "You know what? I'm not going to roll. Just pull me down." And so the dice went to his buddy who was sitting next to him. And the guy sitting next to me was like, don't get in, don't get in that. That's their negative energy. Don't worry about it. Just do your thing. So I pulled everything down just for one or two rolls to see, how it was going to go, because it was a lot of a negative energy situation. And his buddy got up there and rolled for 64 rolls. So much for negative energy. And everybody colored up on that one pretty well, and the other thing was, once he got back to his console, it had wiped his bets that he had up while he was up at the table. And he got mad about that. And so that was probably 4 or 5 rolls into his buddy's roll before he figured that out, and then tried to figure out how to resolve that. And it just was all negative energy the whole time his buddy was up there. But his buddy was just cool, calm, and collected, and calling out the rolls as they went before the stick would call them or they would get posted and everything. And it just kept on going, 64 rolls. And so, yeah, it was pretty neat to see.
All right. Anybody else without some no roll? Well, with a no roll call dice story before we move on. All right, guys, we're coming up on the hour and 45 minutes of the show. We still have almost 60 people with us. There's got to be some more questions out there. If you want to join the show, it's still not too late to join the show. You can join the show right there by seeing the description down below. We'll talk about an after show as we get closer to it. I don't know that we're going to do one tonight. But Dylan, Ken says you're pretty quiet tonight. So I know you can't see the chat. You've been sitting back. Any comments? Any wisdom from Skill and Luck himself?
Well, I'm just taking it all in, trying to be my normal humble self. So with Joy, she's a wild firecracker. Let me tell you, she brings the joy and mystery to life, and you never know what you're going to get with that. So, but anyway, with the unicorn thing, I've worked hard on that. I really have worked and put a lot of time and effort into that. So I'm pretty proud of that. And she goes off in left field like she normally does, but I can because I have really worked hard on it. But it's just it's something, and so I've done the Skill 66 all my for the majority of my for a while, and came up with that, and then this is a new adventure, and it's more complicated by far, but I think it's gonna. I think people will like it once John really rolls it out, and it's different. So it's not the there's no guarantees, of course. There's holes, and but we've tried to plug all the holes that we possibly can, and I think it's a good little system. So it's something that is going to be very intriguing to watch and to understand and roll out and show all the different whys and the different aspects and all the different the different variables that can happen. So but joy's joy, and so if she gets a YouTube channel, oh my God, Katie barred the door. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting, sure. So, but thank you all folks for joining Craps Chat. It's really fun.
All right. So, guys, like I said, or if you have a question, put it in the queue. I'm going to go to Chris and John just to make sure I didn't miss any questions. I've scrolled back while people were talking. Chris or John, have I missed any questions?
I don't think so.
Not that I've
all the ones that I've
answered
all the ones I wanted to answer, you put up there.
Okay. Well, Dylan, here's one from Justice Jen. She wants to know what's the lowest bankroll you can succeed with your unicorn strategy.
It's a high bankroll. You have to really have probably about, I would say, a minimum of 1,500 to be safe, and that's with 180 DP starting out. And I wouldn't do it any lower than 180 DP because there's other there's a yo and a field that is causing conflict and whatnot for hedge betting, and so and plus there's other stuff as well that I don't really want to get into right now. John's gonna explore all that and talk about it extensively this whole coming up week. So
could you looking on bubble craps at $18 still? Could it work at $18 in the don't on bubble craps with $1 across as the end game? It'd be a grind, I think you could do that.
Yeah, you take the zero out of it. Yes, but yeah, right.
That's what I think.
So yeah, but most people don't want to do that. But yeah, it could work that way on a bubble crap thing. Yeah, you could do that.
I think Jen's trying to get your attention here, John. I'm not sure what this means. I'll put it up there because she followed up with cues. John, would you find a pinhole pour and in turn it into a canyon?
I think she's talking about me breaking. I think what's going to happen is that we all know what's going to happen. I'm going to run the moonbow this week, which is skill and luck unicorn strategy, and I am going to whack that 9 on the come out, and I'm going to buckshot the point every single time. I'm going to make that thing work so hard because you know how I throw. I will find them. But it's good when I do. I think it's great that I find the holes because people, need to see there's holes. And I think it's cool because we watch these things fight back. Like when there's a hole and it still ends up winning, that's pretty cool. It may take 77 rolls to come back from the whack job, but it does. They come back. And I think the Storm did that, right? The Storm one day, I hammered myself like 5-6 rolls in a row, and still we worked it. So that's. This strategy has got some risk for a couple rolls, but it's loaded with opportunity. Yep. And once you get past that,
Arnell has a great question, and I think one of the biggest things with why people do these big bankroll things is they want to show you the payoff faster. With a low bankroll strategy, I mean, you're talking about winning $20, $30 at a time, and how many people have the patience to stick to that type of strategy, even if it's a well-baked strategy that will make money over the long run. But yeah, I think putting out more strategies that are for a lower bankroll actually would be beneficial for everybody.
Well, I have a follow-up to that. Are we talking for John's Daily Paycheck or his Coffee and Craps episodes, or are we talking about just YouTube content providers in general providing lower bankrolls? Because I get emails every single week. Hey, I saw X YouTuber done this. Can you do it at a $10 or $15 level? And I do it from time to time. My channel's not really about strategies per se. I put out a couple of them when I get requests like that. But I get those emails all the time. I like the fact that Mike and Mike at On Point Craps and Craig over at Old Bay Craps, they've been doing a lot of low bankroll stuff. And to be realistic with probably the majority of the craps players out there, maybe not the people that are watching our show, but to the new people, they want to see the lower stuff because I like to watch the big bankrolls. I like to watch people win thousands of dollars. I don't have that bankroll to do it, but it's entertaining to me. And then I take what they did and lower it down.
Well, the Paycheck series is the Paycheck series that I'm doing is its own special animal. It's like literally pretending that I'm retired and I'm buying it for $5K. Like that's a pretend actual bankroll. But I agree. I think most of the time I try and bet at $25 on my other stuff. But I should do more $10 things because there's plenty of $10 tables around. I think $10, $500-$600 buy-ins are probably what we should be doing more of because most people aren't playing with that kind of paper. I mean, what's everybody's average buy-in? $600, $700 for the most part. You know, there's a few people that are buying it for $2,000, $3,000, but most of us are buying. I'm $750 most of the time. My actual strategies are 64 across, and I'm working it like that. I'm trying to make $150, $200 a shot. 90% of the time.
The average Joe that's not going there, that's been playing craps forever, it's probably anywhere between 2 and a little less than 500 in most cases, even at a $15 game.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm real comfortable buying in for $300 on a $15 table. It takes a lot of work to keep it there, but that's where I'm at, $300 to $500. And sometimes the strategies are scalable, sometimes they're not, depending on the payout. I know you just went through Waylon's mine, and I'm not putting $150 out there to play it at quarter levels, but on my bubble machine, when I'm trying to make money, trying to get my free play to go, and I can play $4 and bump them up by $4 or $6 and bump them up by $6.
I was going to say,
I'm all in on that.
Bubble craps at $2 a bet all day long. You can sit there all day with $2 a bet and make $50, $60 out of $200. That's a great way to play. 100%.
Yeah, I do agree. The table.
Yeah.
For me, I don't really use any particular strategies, and so, especially most of the time, from different points of view, my bankroll, if you want to call it bankroll, is really small. I used to go on with $30 or $40 and just play with that on a craps table, and flip that into a few hundred. But that's also because I only played on myself. In the beginning, I would play from the don'ts, even only on myself, before I even played on anybody else. So my risks were a lot smaller because I was always trying to be a sniper. Either I'm trying to set up the point if I'm playing on the don'ts, and then shooting for the 7 to do quick 7 outs. Or from the opposite, if I'm playing from the pass line, which I do 99% of the time now, I just play from the pass line to try to build up my wins from there, and then start making place bets on 1 or 2 numbers and going from there. My perspective is like, even on a $25 table, I only take about $300. I don't see a need for a lot of the strategies to be at very high dollar amounts, but it depends on if you're betting on every shooter, which is typically with what I see most strategies doing, is having enough for 10 shooters and things like that. But that's not my philosophy when I go to play craps. So
okay, your strategy for the average Joe or someone you don't know should be scaled down at about 60% less respect of a good shooter that you have qualified. So if you're letting your bets go for 8 rolls on a qualified shooter, you should be stopping at 3 rolls, 4 tops on a non-qualified shooter. It's just simple math. Make sure that you're protecting your investment.
Okay. No. Anybody else on this subject? I think the way that the Rock said what he said, he's looking for a sniper. I know several players that would prefer, there might be a fire bet out there. Yeah, you might be going for the ATS or whatever they call it, or the repeaters. But so there's a couple players I know of that would just prefer that the point stay the same for 19 box hits and not hit the point, because when they got to go to the payout, it slows the whole table down, makes it slow down in the shooter. If you want to use the term, ice the shooter, gets called out with the payouts of all those when they pay everything out. So when I shoot, I'm not trying to pick somebody off the don't, and I hope when I'm on the don't that they're not trying to pick me off that. But I could see where somebody certainly could do that. Any other comments on that? And George asked a question. George from CY asked a question. Are the table limits come down in Vegas? I think he got his answer in the chat. And John, there's a question in there from Jen for you as well about volunteers for your paycheck shows. So you can answer.
Oh, yeah.
You can go direct with her. I'm going to answer this question here from Dan DVD. If I'm not mistaken, this is the 18th show. If you count our pre-show, it might be the 19th, but it is
21.
season 1,
21.
season 2,
21.
episode 1. 21? Oh my goodness, I'm behind.
20, I just looked. There was 20 shows in season 1. I just looked it up.
thought it was 18 or 19.
Well,
Thank you for doing that.
The last one you did was Craps Chat episode 20. So unless you miscounted somewhere, that's what it.
Well, I don't think I counted the one during the Crapsathon. I don't think I counted that one. So maybe that could have very well been. But yeah, because we had technical issues. Disappointing to us, but it was, it is what it is. And tonight so far, got my fingers crossed, everything's working well with the exception of my chat. With the help of several of you out there, we're catching it all. All right, guys, we're coming up to the 2-hour limit here on the show. We've gone through all the questions. Anybody on the panel have a question? And if you have a question, please put a Q in front of it so I can see that. My software will flag that, but I don't have a way of queuing that up. So anybody on the panel got a question? Comment for anybody
here?
How
comfortable everyone is on a $25 or $50 table these days. Have they gotten used to it, or are you still looking for the 15 or below?
No to a $50 table. I don't play on them. I played in Massachusetts where they've had $50 tables, and in the Baltimore, Washington metropolitan area. One of the ones closest to DC is typically 25 and 50. The other two are $25 tables the majority of the time. I will play on a $25 table. I do play differently. My buy-in is about the same as it normally does, but like most people, for me, there's nowhere to regress to, and that's why I don't like them. Anybody else?
I agree, Jeff.
But you know what I found though, Jeff? We've got a $5 table here. We have two of them actually in Washington. And I found that when I play the $5 table, I never regress down the $5 level. I find myself playing at 15 or 10 or whatever. I never take advantage of it when I have it. So it's like, have we become so jaded that we just are like, what's $32? Just piss it away. It's changed. The pandemic has changed our view of a dollar as far as craps goes. Because I used to never play if it wasn't a $5 table. And now I'm like, shit, I don't even care anymore.
I disagree with that,
I guess
John. I think
they've done their job.
Our viewpoint on strategies has changed our dollar amounts. A lot of the strategies that are coming out are higher dollar amounts. And everybody's looking for that quick buck. And for me, during the week I can play for $5. During the weekend it's $10. I never played anything over $15 tables. But I, like you, play more money with strategies. I always have $60 to $100 on the table at all times. If not more.
I think
what
I've learned, Joe. I think, Joe, what I've learned over the years is that I don't want to win.
I was there with Big AZ's group. We're at a $5 table. There was probably one or two people that stood at a $5 level, if that. Right. And most of them, once they got past it, they never went down. Went down, and most of the people were already at a $15 or even $25 level, going 135 across on people and losing their ass. Sometimes when we got a quick set. So, I would, it's nice to have, but if you're going to be on that type of table, you should utilize the ability to be able to regress down.
We should use the option, but we don't use the option. We don't use the option now. That's the problem. And I find myself thinking, if I want to win $100, if I bring $750 and I want to win $100 or $200, $5 at a time it's too slow. Like you're out there for too long, so I end up being at the $15, $20 level anyway. And I don't know. I feel like it's changed my mentality since they forced us out.
I tend to agree with what Alfredo said because I was with him when we played there, and I started playing at a $5 level, and three people were sharing the ATS a piece, and I just did my own thing. And the first day or two, I was having my butt handed to me because I found it too easy to put too much money on the table. $5, like Alfredo said, I switched to a $10 or $15 table, and I had better success. And when I did turn that winning session, and you know which casino I'm talking about, Alfredo, it was at the $10 table. They had a 5 and 10, and we all got done with the recording. We went over, and we had good success because good rollers. But I was at a much higher level. Had I been at the $5 table, I wouldn't have got some of my money back. But I think it's personal preference. What you're comfortable with, bankroll, and like we talked, one of the first questions, how do you protect yourself? Anybody else on this? We got one more.
To your point, Jeff, as well, is if you're at a $25 table, your only regression is off, or take them down. Once you hit what you need, and right. that's the key thing is to remember that is a regression in itself. If you're at a $25 table, is to come all down.
All right. All right, got a couple more questions here before we wrap it up tonight, guys. Let me get rid of that lower third. Question from Arnell over at Dice Grinders. Wednesday nights, check out his channel for live fantasy craps. He asked, how often is the panel practicing tossing dice, controlled shooter or not? What do you consider yourself? So I'll start with myself. I practice not every day here, but when I doing my live rollouts, that's my practice. I try to shoot the dice quite often. Last Thursday, I think I racked up over 300 rolls, and by the time I got to the second show Thursday night, I couldn't get past a 4-roller, and I was just exhausted and tired. I do a lot of strategy stuff on you guys. When you guys are doing your shows, your videos, I'm doing a lot of strategy stuff. Anybody else that's got a YouTube or got a table at home that practices?
Yeah. Well, quick, I just do some practice shots. I have like a bucket of dice and a box with a blanket in it, and I look for flight characteristics. How well I'm tossing it, and if I can even get them in the box. Some days it's not so easy. And on top of that, I bother John with DMs about dice theory and all sorts of other stuff.
Yeah, you've written me a book in the last weekend over here.
Yeah, Victor and I had a little chat in Discord today, John, about some DI stuff. So the video he shared with me was pretty interesting.
He's got some seriously advanced mathematical theories going on right now, so it's a lot to digest for sure.
Well, I think
in addition,
good stuff. Great stuff.
In addition to the math side of it, he also has the physics. So I think it comes together. And we've talked about that show. Maybe Victor, we'll have you back on for a time when we can talk DI and we can talk about math and physics, and we can do that. We're getting pretty late in the show today, but we'd be happy to.
By the way, I was a physics lab supervisor once, just so you know.
Well, that explains a lot, doesn't it, John? That I did not know.
Yep.
No, but the video that you sent me earlier today, I went to the timestamp, and then I went back and watched the whole video on physics, and it went back to college days. Anyway, Rock, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, just briefly in the very beginning, I would practice my toss. I mean, I bought some, those dice from a dollar store, but after a short period of time, I didn't practice dice throwing anymore. Now, I do set my dice. I do use like a power toss and stuff like that, but I don't believe in practicing. My old home casino was so close to me. I used to go there so much. I consider that practice whether I win or lost. So, me in the traditional sense, I don't believe in practicing. Now I'm in Florida. I just found a casino boat that has craps, and I played. I haven't played in like a year and a half, and I still won like $300 after not playing for a year and a half. So to me, it doesn't really, I don't know, it doesn't really, I don't find it useful to practice. I think it's wasting tosses when you can just play on a live casino table for real money.
All right.
Yeah, I would practice that you have to practice, man. I mean, if you're going to understand what maturations within what you're seeing and how to make an adjustment, I've made adjustments just because of what the table bounce was providing out of the dice set, and went on a 40-something plus roller just this trip. And it's those sorts of things that you won't have unless you're putting into practice. And as all of you know, like I probably shoot between 75 and 200 tosses a day, and sometimes too much, right? But it does allow you to see and better understand what's happening with your dice. George does it every day. He's gotten to the point where he can see exactly which one's pitching, and was it an explosion or implosion, whatever it may be. Now, many of you may say, well, that wasn't you that caused it, right? It was the diamonds in the wall that caused it to implode or explode. But it's the energy in the dice. It's your landing zone. It's landing them flat. Those are things that you can influence. Now, once it hits the wall, there's a certain element of randomness. But if you can take the randomness out of all the other components of it, like Victor says, getting them in that same spot, you're going to eliminate or limit the variability.
I highly disagree.
Well, we'll agree to disagree. Thanks.
No, I don't want to make it an argument or anything. What I've learned when I was playing dice and the live casinos, like I said, my old home casino was really close. What I've learned is to make adjustments on the fly. So I've learned if I was twisting my wrist on a dice throw, and cause them to act funny in the air. They never go sideways, things like that. I just more or less rather play under the pressure of it being on real money because it conditions me to be. And my old casino had 3 different types of surfaces, including one was kind of like a textured wall surface that was glossy. It was crazy, but
well, no, I mean, if you know me, Rock, I actually go every single month to Las Vegas, which I'm at right now, and I had another 5 weekends in other places that had casinos this past year. So I don't just practice at home. I go put my live money at play and win money. And I'm telling you, the practice does not only make a difference for your dice throwing, but also your betting, because you're able to make those adjustments on when you need to come down, given all of those combinations that you've seen and what happens overall, whether it be how often you're going to get a short roll, how often you're going to get a long roll.
You know, I can honestly say, and I've been benefit of standing next to Alfredo at the dice table, and I was within earshot, within a foot or 2 of him, and he's constantly going through, okay, this is what the dice did, this is what I need to do to adjust my step. He's constantly analyzing the dice, and that comes through practice, guys. It really does. You know, to answer Alfredo's Arnold's question, I do practice anywhere between 4 to 6 days a week now with my series that I started. And I am considering myself a dice influencer in training. I'm no expert by any means, but I'm learning as I go, and that's where the daily practice comes in, guys. John has said it how many times as well. You know, he's getting to a point now where he can start interpreting the dice as it goes through the air. You know, it really does. He knows if it's a decent toss or not a decent toss. And I'm starting to get to that point as well. I know by watching the dice, you know, results I'm not as worried about right now. I'm worried about everything that leads up to the back wall. I'm worried about being consistent, getting rid of those variables, making everything a constant, so that way, on average, I will have a more predictable toss.
All right. No, Joe, I think
I like what Clay says there in the comments. The more I practice, the luckier I am. Practice makes perfect. And I've walked into casinos that they don't know me from Adam, and they will comment, you have a really nice toss there. You know, and I'll have people come up and play with me because they'll see the toss that I have, and they'll appreciate the fact that I'm throwing it decent. So yeah, practicing is important. I try and put in 45 minutes to an hour a day on my table.
Well, I think that the DI side of it is, we've talked about that many times on the show in the past year, and it looks like we need to revisit that because Rock has an opinion about practice and DI that's a little different, and I think Chris from Dice Dejan tried to put that in there that if you're going to do it that way, that's an expensive practice, and I suppose what the table limits are, it would be an expensive practice, but I think most of us with tables, we have tables for 2 reasons. One, to throw the dice or try to do what Joe's taught himself, because I consider myself a rhythm roller in training to be a DI, but through the help of several other YouTubers that have expert time in it, I recognize as soon as I let go of the dice that it's bad, and you hear me say it all the time in my videos. So
I do that too, Jeff.
Yep.
So I do the same thing, right? And let me ask you this. I got a quick interjection here.
Sure.
So as you know, my son played college baseball, which is no easy task, right? And he did that because he spent his life in the batting cage. Like he was you've seen him. He's 6'4". He's a big, strong kid. And if he only got his reps in the game, he never would have made it to college to play. But he put the time into the cage to groove the swing. He's a perfect hitter, right? And that's what got him there. I think dice throwing is the same thing. You got to get all the reps you can to perfect all the pieces that you can perfect. Now, I put this in chat, and I want to ask the question to George, who's in chat, and Alfredo, who's here, and Joe, who's here. Because here's the thing. You've got your grip, your backswing if you have one, your release, the velocity, the attitude of the dice, the angle that they launched, where they land, how they hit. There's like 9 different things you got to get perfect. And let's say you're 100% of the time perfect on those 9 degrees. They still have to hit the back wall, right? Is that the greatest equalizer of all? Like, are we just wasting our time? Because I still have the question. I throw 200 throws a day on my table on film. You guys know I practice like a maniac, right? I'm trying really, really hard to get good at this. You have to wonder though, is that back wall the equalizer? Does all that matter? If out of 10 things that could go wrong, if I have 9 of them solved, but there's one thing at the end that's going to just fuck it all up, Are we wasting our time? That's what I want to know, and I really want to have the answer to that, because it's the thing that makes me go, why did I spend $4,000 on a table, right? And 2 hours a day on this kind of thing, and it's a legit question. I think we have to go through it, and I think Rock is making a good point where he's getting his reps in the game. I would come back and say that's not enough reps if you want to be good at this, right? Like my son. I use him as an example too often. But what do you guys think about that?
Here's my answer, John.
Go for it.
First of all, I spent $1,500 on cable because I built it myself.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. I have no skills, Joe. I have zero skills.
Yeah. I have this philosophy. I mean, I want to practice. I want to prove to myself, like you, that I can do something, with the dice. Whether I can influence it or not, that's to be determined yet. I'm going through this series every single day, and I'm going to be recording everything and doing everything live in front of everybody. And I'm going to try to prove it myself that I can either A, do it or not do it. But keeping that in mind, I feel much better at the table knowing that I'm doing the daily practice. I feel much better knowing that what I'm doing is at least having, in my opinion, some sort of impact, whether the back wall throws it off or not. I like to do things with confidence, and there's only one way to get confident, and that's by practicing, by doing the homework, by doing the repetitions, by doing everything that's involved with it. And like you, John, coming up, I will be doing my 10, 20,000 rolls in front of everybody, and I will be keeping stats like you, and we will see, what the difference is between random and not random.
It's amazing, Joe. When you see the statistics, and I think Myopia Movie talked to me about this, and I've shown my stats. I'm 4,000 rolls in, right, and I am perfect random. Like you look at my pyramid, it's essentially perfect random after all this time. Yet within the random, there's these amazing trends and pockets that I found myself in. I'm like, you know what? I'm seeing, even though I'm exactly where I should be, I'm like a 6.1 SRR, which is essentially perfect. I'm 1.5% fewer come out sevens. Like that's a thing, right? And I think there's this weird stuff that's happening in the rolls, and it's like it sucks you in. Like I want to be really good at this, right? And I don't know if it's possible or not. So I don't know.
Well, I mean, it's interesting. To your point, right, John? Your son's playing baseball, right? He puts a lot of practice in. What's the difference between a player that makes it to AAA or doesn't even make it at all, and someone that's an all-star, like less than 5%, right? 250
it's
to
much. You're right.
300. All of a sudden, you're a great player versus you're a shit player, and you're not going to get you're not going to get any reps. We're looking at making a very fine imprint on a subset and being able to take advantage because we've seen the patterns there, and we're able to take advantage of that. From repeating the same number of combinations multiple times in a row, that probably means you're pretty locked in. And if you continue along that lines and bump up your bets, you're probably less likely to see a red right after that than normal. And you could take advantage of that information. It's not necessarily I'm going for a 40 roller every time. It's just not going to happen. But you're going to have more often that you're going to have longer rolls than a random person because you have more of the consistency. Are you still going to have all those short rolls like everyone else? Absolutely. That's why it's an average. But your longer rolls are going to be a lot longer than most people.
I think George, I put this up here earlier. I think George said it the best way that he can, especially from being the mechanic, the dice mechanic that he's known as, is you do not influence dice guys. You just become more experienced at throwing them. And like John said, he's noticed that he's a 1.5%. John, I think you said fewer come out sevens was your result. And we all find our sets that we specifically like. So this DI question is always comes up during Craps Chat, and we probably should start with it one show and just continue all the way through it because there's believers and non-believers, and then there's math people and non-math people. But I know I go to the casino.
Like it or not, right? It's part of the game. That's what it's part of the game. It doesn't matter what, right? Whether you believe or don't believe, it's part of life. Nobody's gonna stop trying, right? And you're gonna have dice setters at your table, so it doesn't. I think the belief non-belief thing, you know how that drives me crazy. This is not religion.
Yep. No, it's not. But we bet differently on people that may seem to appear like they are having better luck, especially with hitting the inside box numbers. It may not be about extending the roll. Maybe they're better at hitting inside box numbers. Here's a question for you from Clay, and I know why he's asking it, John. He says, do you find in your sessions, are you better on your daily shows or your night show with less going on?
Great question. Oh man, the night for sure. When I'm practicing, just throwing 100 rolls at a time, I get into a groove. I can get 100 shots in quickly, and I definitely do better. But that's my batting cage time, right? The morning show is game time. Now, my statistics are worse on the morning show, but I'm using different sets. So the morning show, I will adjust the set and change things around and try stuff out. Where the night show, I'm always on the same set. So when I look at the stats side by side, it's not a 1-for-1 comparison because I'm not using the same dice set. I should always use the same dice set in the mornings, but I don't. I listen to chat and I change things up. I try Wayland's set sometimes. I mix it up a little bit, so it's much more willy-nilly in terms of the pockets that I find myself in. But yeah, the nighttime show for sure.
Do you use different dice sets? Do you use the 750s or 775s, or
I do, and I call it out when I do. I'll say today I'm using the small dice or the big dice or whatever. I have about 10 sets of each in the garage, and I will switch them up, and I'll let you know when I do. And I bitch the whole time because it takes me a long time to get. It's a huge difference. Those little tiny dice, they're weird. They're like throwing marshmallows. They're just so weird.
Yes, they are. All right, guys, we're gonna start wrapping this down. I have one more question from that. I don't know if Joe is still here with us. He asked it a little while ago, and I think this is going to be a one-answer question. And he asked about we've had this question before too. When you travel a distance to play in a casino, do you carry the cash, or you set up a line of credit at a few casinos like AC in Vegas? I carry the cash. I know that we answered this question before because we had a question asked about going through the TSA through the checkpoint of the airports about having much cash on you. I think Alfredo answered the question probably 3 or 4 months ago the best way, but I don't set up the line of credit ahead of time, one, because I'm not that deep bankroll player.
Carry the cash. Keep yourself at whatever bankroll limit that you're going to take, that you're willing to be able to lose. Hopefully it's a bankroll that you've been able to gain over time through winning. And when you go through the TSA, just hold it in your hand. Don't put it in the scanner. They won't allow you to go in the radar detector. They'll just ask you to fluff the thing, make sure there's nothing in the bills.
All right. So anybody else have any comments about that? Guys, I carry
cash. Yeah. Prison wallet from Blackbird. I carry cash. I carry cash. If I lived in Vegas, I would have markers at like 5 casinos. I would just marker play all day long and withdraw when I need to. But I carry cash.
Nope. All right, guys, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this up. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes into the show. It'll take us 15 minutes to get out of here. We do have 60 people watching. The unfortunate thing here is Crap Chat starts at 9 p.m. on the Eastern, 6 p.m. on the Pacific, and as we go through the time period, we catch West Coast people coming onto the show and coming out of the show, and I think that's the reason why we get an influx of people towards the end. I will stick around for a little bit on the post-show. If you guys want to come over on the Zoom when we're over with, I'll let anybody in, including those people that want to show stuff, but it's off YouTube, and we will do a little round table at the end and kind of wrap things up if you want to stay. I have a feeling John's dinner's ready for him, and he's got to go eat. I think that's what she said a little while ago, or do you have it with you? All right, John. All right. I didn't see you eat any of that. So with that said, let's go ahead and we'll start with our guests that are in the green room. We'll start with Rock. Your first time here. I know. I think we all agree to disagree with different points today. That's what makes this community so well involved. Rock, what did you think of your first time on the show?
It was great. Hope to come on again, and maybe if I travel enough, I'll run into some of you guys in the Atlantic City or Vegas or something.
All right, just pop in any one of the Discords and send us a message. And if you're in the Mid-Atlantic area, let me know, because we travel from New York all the way down into the Carolinas to play. So if you're in one of those areas, shoot me an email. I'd be glad to play with you. Let's move on now to Craftsmaster Journey. Joe, who got disconnected and came back on. And I was worried because I was looking at him, and then I thought somebody cloned his name and they were trying to come in and not be him.
Hey, I just want to say thanks everybody for on the panel, all the people in the chat. I also want to say thank you to Chris for his service and good luck over the next few months on whatever he is doing. I also want to say thanks to my subscribers, guys. I am within one day of hitting 100,000 views. Someone from Wisconsin never thought would ever happen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, very much appreciated, guys. Very, very, very much. But hey, thank you, everybody.
Yep. No, thank you, Joe, and I appreciate you coming on the show. And for those of you that take a look at the subscriber view and how many hits you get and how many views you get, if you ever reset your YouTube on the back end or remove your content from all those third AI bots that look at your stuff, you're resetting all your views and it goes back down to 0 again. So congratulations, Joe, for hitting the 100,000. I think that's fantastic. Let's go over to Leon. Awesome. Great Craps. I believe you were on the show last Friday night, weren't you, Leon? What happened?
I was. Dark Side took over. My strategy that I was playing got whacked in the first round, so it kind of went downhill from there. And,
I was just picking on you. So you don't have to talk about that.
Things ended okay because I'm in Vegas right now. I just got here today, and I didn't want to have to be on Friday because I have other things in that time slot. So it worked out. So.
All right, let's go up to Victor. Victor, your first time on the show, and I hope you come back for many more.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah, you're here. We can hear you.
Oh, good, because sometimes, something happens. Well, listen, I'm happy to be here. I mean, this is a new thing. I keep learning new things from you guys, believe me. This technology is beyond me sometimes. Using Zoom. Oh, my goodness. No, but no, this was kind of cool. It's kind of interesting to hear, all your views. And I'm glad I actually found my old gaming headset so I could plug it in and have a chat with you. It was fun.
There you go.
Yeah, good. Let's go over to Jason, by the way, who's also made a couple appearances on Friday Night Fights over here on CGTV. Jason, how did you like? This is not your first time on the show, but how did you enjoy the show tonight? Do you have any final comments?
I think it might be the first time. Well, first time I'm Zooming anyway. I enjoyed it. I mean, that's one thing that I like about the community is that we can have differing opinions. And a lot of it has to do with style, and even in my own play, I'll play different if my bankroll is down or if I'm playing on profits. And that it's just good to know that there are different ways to play and how to go. I know John has put out that challenge, the $10 casino visit challenge, get disciplined, go out there, make $10 and leave. Well, I'm an hour away from my casino, my local casino. So it doesn't pay for gas for me to go make $10 and leave. I took a little different turn on that. I'm just using their free play that they're giving me. They're giving me a good amount of free play, and I'm just using that. I'm not using any of my earned money to bankroll this year. I'm just using straight casino money and the bankroll from that. And so that's my discipline is getting in there, getting out. And it's I kind of like that we come up on these same ideas at different times. Because I was thinking about that for a while, and then John put that out there, and it's really remarkable that the way that our community flows in the thought process like that.
All right, I appreciate that. Sorry, I was looking at a chat that came in. I pushed the wrong button at the wrong time. Alfredo, good luck for you out there in Vegas. Not sure how much longer you're going to be there, but any final words for tonight's show?
No. I'll be here until Wednesday. I'm here with Craps Boy. Tasha's going to be getting married on Tuesday. So it's been a long trip. Definitely going to be able to hopefully grind back and get back the 1,800 I'm down, which, I mean, I'll be able to do. I mean, I'm not too worried about it. But it's been some crazy runs. up money, down money, up money, down money, same day. It's like a freaking cardiac rhythm thing this trip. And I've had some great rolls. And so you can't just only shoot yourself out of it, especially if you're betting on other people and you're at a table. So you do have to vary your play and adjust. And sometimes it's good just to walk and take your lick.
Yeah, it sounds to me like you're playing a game of craps. That's what it sounds like.
The good, the bad, the ugly, man. Right now, it's trending in the better direction, but it's still bad. I mean, I'm down a little bit.
Yeah. Well, you know, we all hear the stories where everybody wins all the time, and we all know that that's not the case. And you know, although I feel bad for you that you're down, but I know that I played with you, so I know your skill level, both strategy wise, betting wise, and toss wise, is there. And good luck to you for the rest of the week, and hope you enjoy the wedding you're going to attend. So let's switch over here to Chris Dice-Dejan. I saved you on the panel for last. My administrator, my moderator, my whatever you want to call it today, because my chat went down. I hope I did a good job. I hope I didn't miss anything. Any final words, Dejan? And don't tease me about last night.
Why'd you even have to bring it up? I wasn't going to say anything. No, Jeff, always phenomenal job from you, production-wise. Top-notch job every time. Again, congrats on Season 2. Season 1 was really, really good. Looking forward to Season 2. Thanks to everyone in chat for the great questions, everyone on the panel, great discussions, and hope everyone has a great rest of their day, night, and good luck at the tables.
All right. Did I miss anybody in the panel? Did I get everybody to want to say I missed anybody? Anybody?
Get Rock?
Yeah, I did. I thought I did. Rock, did I get you? I think I started with him. I think I did. All right, let's go up to John. John, you know, we know that you got your daily paychecks, you got your coffee and craps coming up this week, and you got your nighttime practices. I tell you this the other day, I was talking on the phone. I don't know when you find time for family, but you are a dedicated person, and I appreciate your friendship and also the technical advice. Although you didn't answer me tonight about the chat problem, we got it working anyway. But thank you. Yeah. Any final comments on this show?
I love this show. You know that. This is like my favorite of all the things I do. Like I look forward to this the most. I really do. I think this is like so chill and relaxed, and you guys make a great environment for us to just sit here and talk, which is awesome. And I think I said this to you before. I wish people could watch and listen to us just talk offline. Like when I'm talking to Skill or you or whoever else I'm on the phone with, if we could just capture that on film, people would love watching that. That's what this show is. It's just kind of like a lens behind the scenes. And I think it's just so cool. So it's my favorite parts of the month are when you have Craps Chat. So I'm always honored to have the chance to be here and kind of be myself. I think to some degree, you know, on the morning show and whatever else, you play a character to some degree. I think y'all know my personality, but this is just so relaxed, you know. And I'm honored to be here. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and I love that we're doing this.
Yep, I like the format. I would like to add some more things that I'm going to talk about with Dylan here in just a second. Guys, you're welcome to come over to the post show. Sometimes we're there for 20 minutes. The last show, I'll warn you, we ended at 1:20 a.m. Eastern Time. We went a whole nother 2 hours after the last show. It's not going to happen tonight because I have an early morning tomorrow, but we will. If you want to come on into the Zoom afterwards, the Zoom connection will be up. We'll let you in. It's a free-for-all, and like John said, if you could hear us talk, it would be very, very, I think you'd be surprised. What I've been doing on my Discord is when I'm in here recording, and before I go on live with my pre-shows, I have a camera up here in the corner, and you can actually see me and talk to me and see the entire studio at one time in Discord before I go live. And when I'm recording, it's also there. And sometimes I have people come in and join me right while I'm recording, in order to, and I don't edit that out. It stays in the video. So it's a great community here. Dylan, to you, my friend, the creator of the show. What did you think of this episode 1? According to John, maybe the 20th episode. 21st episode of Craps Chat.
Oh, I loved it. Can't ask for better panels. Everybody's fantastic, even though we get a little glimpses that we don't want to see, right? So enough of that. But being consistent. Consistent is the key. That's what we're after. That's the goal. And being consistent is where it's at. So there's different ways of being consistent, and so everybody has their own style. Everyone's unique, but being consistent within that same style is the key for everything. So that's my little gold nugget for tonight. But thank you all for joining Crap Shack. I appreciate y'all. I'm humbled. This is a thrill to be the fly on the wall, to be part of this, and it's just a humbling experience, and I enjoy it thoroughly. And that's I love the laid back feel. That's what it's all about. So we don't want to. We're all one big happy family, basically. So and I wish everybody the best in the world with your bets and with your strategies and I just want it's all just nothing but happy vibes. So thank you all folks for tuning in again. And when is our next? Do you have any idea of when our next Craps Chat's going to be?
Yes, Dylan. Thank you for asking. It's the 29th, 2 weeks from tonight, and we're going to try to bypass Super Bowl Sunday, obviously for obvious reasons, but also I've got a trip planned in February that I won't be here for, so we may only do one show in February, but the next show is the 29th. I believe it's the 29th, 2 weeks from today. We're going to be back, and I also want to add in that I'm talking with some guest guys that you may not like, and you may like some that you haven't seen in a while and some that you may not want to see in a while, but I am working with some guests. I just have to get them to watch the show. Hopefully they watch the show tonight, saw the format, and hopefully by the end of February or March we'll have those guests on, and they've asked for limited time because they don't want to get ridiculed, but I think you may be surprised what we may have coming up. But with the panel we have, the viewers, the questions that we have, guys, you make the show. We can't do the show without you, whether you're a YouTuber or a viewer or subscriber. On behalf of everybody here, we say thank you. We thank Casino Gaming TV YouTube channel for providing this forum to be able to do this. I know we were at 912, John. We got to get that subscription to at least 1K because you have plans. Yep. We have plans for what we're going to do once we reach the 1K side of it, guys. And we hope that we can hit that like and subscribe button. And you guys, will see you in 2 weeks. Till then, look at a couple chats coming in here. I am going to go ahead and end this. Come over, join us in the Zoom. It's in the description below. Blackburn's already in there. He comes over all the time. We'll see you. As always, guys, please, till the 29th, be safe and play smart.
Yeah.